Hello, good morning. Hi, guys. Good morning. Yay. How is everyone? Good. I'm going to warn you guys, I'm a little loopy because I just had my first adjustment by Dr. Chapa this morning, and it was pretty wild. So just don't mind me. I'll probably be in the back taking some minerals and RNA, but I just wanted to first, my name is Christy. For those of you who don't know, I am the Territory Sales Manager for Standard Process in Houston, and I also cover Louisiana as well. And I just want to thank all of you guys for coming down here. I know the weather was kind of crazy, and it might have been kind of a rough drive, and it's a Saturday and it's your day off, but I'm so grateful you guys came here to spend it with us. We have a lot of awesome things in store for you today. First, I want to go over what's in your folders and what you guys have here. So first, you have a printout of the slides that are being presented today. They'll be a little bit different than, there will be some things in the slides that are not on the screen, okay? So you'll see that difference there. This is yours to keep. Feel free to take notes on it. This was put together by Dr. Hayden and Dr. Chapa, so they put a lot of time and energy into this, as well as a list here of your nutrition strategies and your different points, okay? So they're going to be going over this as well. Seminars. So we have an upcoming seminar on March 2nd in Sugar Land. There should be a flyer there with Dr. Rob Scott. If you have not heard him speak before, he is amazing. He is actually from New Hampshire, and this will be a little bit more of an advanced seminar. So he will be going over some advanced herbal protocols. He likes to get into some really complicated cases, so if that's your jam, this will be a great one for you. This is good for 8 CE credits for chiropractic. So please be sure to register for this. The website to register is on this page, okay? It's nutritionseminars.net. This one won't be listed on the Standard Process website. Next, if you open up your folder here, so for coming today, we're going to be doing a special promotion for all of you. So I have it typed out here. If you place a $1,000 order today with me in the back, you will have the option of either getting a brand new SP and MediHerb test kit. So you'll get all the updated test vials. Or if you don't need that, you get a choice of one of Carrie Bone's books, okay, and you just tell me which one. If you place a $1,500 order, if you get the test kit, I will also include the wooden display case that it goes in. That whole thing right there is a $500 value that you will get for free, okay? If you don't want the test kit, if you do a $1,500 order, I will give you 2 of Carrie Bone's books of your choice, okay? So that's there, and your order form is in here. So as you're going through, you can highlight the things that you want, and then Phil and I will be in the back, and we can take orders at the end of the day. Now, that does have to include our promotion. So we are, every quarter moving forward, we will have a special promotion that we will do around a specific health category. So for Q1, we're really focusing on general wellness and foundational health. So we're really kind of circling back to Dr. Roy Lee's original formula, Catalin. Now, who here takes Catalin? Oh, good. We got some opportunity. Who here has it in their clinic for the patients? Good. So really, we have to remember why Catalin is so amazing, and I won't go into it right now. We will be doing a webinar on these 3 products here on February 19th and 20th. I did send out an email about that. But if you buy 6 of the small Catalin, you get a free SP Power Mix. And this is a $73 value, okay? If you buy 3 of the large Catalin, you get the Power Mix for free, and that also includes the gluten-free. So if you are, Catalin GF is your thing, you can do that as well. Yes, they just added it, yeah. So we're good to go. Or if you buy 3 Herba Vital, okay, then you get a free Power Mix. So this promotional order has to include at least 2 of these bundles. So you can do a Catalan and an Herba Vital, all right? And then we've got some other things in here on some upcoming farm tours and some standard process seminars. If you guys have any questions, I will be in the back. And I think that's all I have. Phil, am I missing anything? Okay. For those of you who don't know, this is Phil Olson in the back. He is my manager, so he's our district manager for Texas. So he covers Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. So he has 6 of me that answer to him. So, and he's doing a great job. He's been with us for a year now. So I think that's all I have. So today you'll be learning from 2 wonderful gentlemen that I've had the pleasure with working with for the last 3, almost 4 years now. So I will pass it over to them, Dr. Aaron Chapa and Dr. Chase Hayden. Yeah. You can absolutely.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody, welcome aboard. I will use the microphone in just a second. But can you all hear me like this or no?
Yeah.
This is okay? Would you prefer? Nope.
No.
You don't prefer this? It doesn't work anyways, so who knows? Do what?
You sound better.
I sound better. Of course I do. That's why I'm here. No, I'm just joking. All right, I'm Chase. This is Aaron. So Aaron and I have known each other for the last 20 years of our lives, which is crazy to think about because I've almost known him as long as my wife. But Aaron is brilliant, and so we're super excited to be here and be able to share his space and do things like this. We're grateful for Standard Process for hosting this event and asking us to come talk with y'all. And it's exciting to see a lot of fun, familiar faces and some new faces that we don't know. But ultimately, we want you to get something out of today. We've all been to classes before where you go there and you might hear some good information, or they talk way over your head, or they talk to like elementary-like, and you leave the class and you think, that was a waste of time. Hopefully today is not a waste of time. That's what we tried to present this class for, as something you could do Monday morning to start making changes in your patients. That's what we want. But we weren't quite sure of the educational or not educational, the applicational background you might have for nutrition in your own office. So we're going to take like a little impromptu survey here. If you use nutrition with over 80% of your patients, raise your hand. All right, so about a quarter of the class is over 80% of the patients receive nutritional interventions of some kind. If you're around like 40 to 80%, raise your hand. Okay, so a couple of people. And if you are like less than 40% of the patients or your clients you see are nutrition-based, is there anybody here that's like that? All right, so we've got some level of foundational nutritional background. Now, obviously, there's a million ways we could try and introduce and incorporate nutrition into our practices or with our clients. We are going to demonstrate a couple of ways today that you can do it as part of a physical exam, as well as some basic muscle testing related techniques that we use in our office. But before we go too far, I said before that Aaron, Dr. Chapa, because we're in a professional setting, Dr. Chapa over here is brilliant. And it's a pleasure just being in his life sometimes because you are introduced to amazing people when you hang out with Dr. Chapa. So this here, does anybody know who this guy is in the middle?
Does anybody know?
Anybody know?
Yes.
Who is it?
Boy.
Yes, he said boy.
What's with the Flavor Flav?
It's Flavor Flav, that's right. So Flavor Flav. Aaron, if you don't know, can break dance and pop and lock and rap and flow and do all kinds of things. And you would never know it because you see him on the normal everyday basis and you say, wow, you're a professional. I never knew you could do these things. But Aaron helped me introduce myself to Flavor Flav one day at the airport, and it was a really good experience. And that's the presence that we are basking in right now, is Dr. Aaron Chapa. And these are the types of exciting things you get to do when you hang out with him. But we're going to jump into the real stuff now. I just wanted to share that because that's the best picture I have with me and Aaron together. And but yeah, it's a good picture. So back to the real subject. That was a slight detour because the people in my office said if I didn't show that picture, I would have wasted the day. So why are we here, right? We're here to introduce clinical and nutritional outcomes with the patients and clients that we see. And there are a variety of ways in which we could do this. For example, in my office, every patient fills out about 10 pages worth of new patient paperwork. And that sounds like a lot for a lot of people because I'm a chiropractor and they're like, why do I need to tell you about the way I go to the restroom and the way I breathe and the mucus that comes out of my nose? Like, why do I need to tell you all this stuff? My neck hurts, right? So they might come to me for something, but I ask about a lot of things so that I have an opportunity to help them get where they want to be, right? So when it comes to clinical application of nutrition, patients want help, and sometimes they prematurely categorize us into a box that they expect us to fill. My website, if you open it up and it says Chase Hayden Chiropractor, they think neck pain, back pain, headache, sure, let's go see this guy. And then they walk in and I say, if I had a magic wand, it could help you with anything in your health life, what would you want help with? And they'll say, well, I've got this neck pain and these headaches, but I'm also PMSy, I'm bloated all the time, I don't sleep, my energy's low, my constipation's bad, my husband doesn't clean up after himself. All these things are problems. Can you help with any of them? I'm like, sure. They have given me permission to address other imbalances besides the musculoskeletal side of them, so I do so. And our clinical education and our nutritional background allows us to be experts in helping those individuals get what they want out of their health journey. So when we have options of giving patients support, there's a variety of ways we can come across what we might give them. As a general default, I start with dietary modification, followed by whole food-based nutritional intervention, followed by herbal specific support, followed by aggressive micronutrient or nutraceutical imbalance. And that would be like the hierarchy in which I personally go through whenever I start trying to help somebody out. Because I always tell people, the supplements off my shelf won't outperform a McDonald's diet, right? But if I can get that as the foundational level to start changing, now I can use whole food-based, broad spectrum nutritional intervention to start getting patients moving in the right direction. And if I need a little bit more support, I can start getting a little bit aggressive with some herbs. And if something is grossly inadequate, well, now I can use some nutraceutical intervention to make that work. But the foundational process in which we want to I try and help my patients is through a whole food-based philosophical lens. So the good thing about standard process is the product is literally grown on the perfect soil in Wisconsin. From seed to supplement, it takes 300 something days to get a bottle of Catalin. Because they say we need new Catalin, let's go plant the seeds, let's grow it in our organic farms, let's harvest it the way we need to in a nutrient-sparing way, so that then I can put it in a tablet, send it to Dr. Hayden, and Chase can give it to that person, and they will know that it's whole food-based, organically done, sustainable, nutrient-delivered, powerful nutrition. And so standard process is a linchpin or a key factor of what I use in my office because of the foundational principle that I start with. So the other cool thing about it is food is awesome for helping people. If someone comes in and they're like, hey, I've got this problem, and I give them, let's just say AF beta food, my favorite product of all things standard process. I use AF beta food like it's going out of style. My kids think it's candy. My kids, when they were younger, if they cleaned their room, they got to eat AF beta food. And they're like, okay. And they go put their toys away in their little buckets and put away and come and ask for AF beta food. And I'm like, here, take as many as you want, it's fine. Like, it's liver, beets, and carrots. I mean, it's phenomenal. But AF beta food, it can help with liver stuff, it can help with blood sugar stuff, it can help with digestion, it can help with waking up in the morning at 1 in the morning because you have to go to the restroom. You can use AF beta food in a variety of different ways because of the nutritional power of real food in a concentrated way. Many of you, not you, because we're a country group and I get that. How many of your patients do you think eat liver on a daily basis, or a weekly basis, or a monthly basis, or intentionally at all? Ever? None of us, right? Like, Like, I don't eat liver because it tastes disgusting and it makes my house stink. So I get it out of a pill because it's easier that way, right? Like we tried it when we were coming out of school. We're like, we're doing this, guys. We're gonna mix up our ground beef and our liver and do things. And the first time I came home from work, I was like, what in the world is that? And my wife was like, I don't know. I tasted it and I just threw it all out and we're going to Taco Bell. No, we didn't do that. But that's a process. And we know that sometimes that's hard to get certain types of food into our body. So things like AF beta food or some of these products that we use are going to have stuff that most of us, or most of our patients at least, may not be eating on a regular basis. So the cool thing about whole food-based nutritional support, everyone can benefit from nutrition because all of us, even in our healthiest ways, are exposed to modified foods, nutrient-depleting additives and preservatives, chemicals, herbicides, pesticides, etc., that deplete the things we have. Whole food-based nutrition can be a foundational way to start replenishing and repairing things, and it lets us start treating our patients a little bit differently. So now, my mouth is dry. Sorry. Liz will tell you that I talk too much in my office already, but this seems like excessive. Sorry, Liz is my office manager. She runs my whole life from 7:30 in the morning until 6 at night. And then she's phenomenal. Everybody needs... Liz is great. All right, so let's pretend, hypothetically, I'm a student or I don't use as much nutrition with my patients as I think I probably could or I want to. How might I start incorporating nutrition into my practice on Monday morning? More nutrition maybe. Because we all know that we see patients, and all of our patients or clients come in with something, but we're probably pretty sure that most, if not all of our patients could benefit from additional support. So in trying to think how might clinical nutrition be applied to someone, I came up with some ideas on how you might do it. So first, I told you before, my new patient paperwork is super long. This doesn't work when you go in there. That's weird. All right, so I have 10 pages worth of paperwork in my new patient intake forms. I ask people why they really want to come see me, and then I ask a symptom survey breakdown of different body parts. Have any of you ever seen a symptom survey before? Okay. Do any of you use a symptom survey or something similar in your office? To be fair, I don't actually use this particular one, but it's a concept that works great. If you don't use a symptom survey and you're thinking, maybe I want to help my patients in a nutritional way, I would invite you and encourage you to look this up, download it, and play with it. You could literally just slap it to the back end of your paperwork and it starts giving you questions, and it's all broken down into categories like what's digestion like, what's adrenal fatigue like, what's your thyroid doing, how is your skin and barrier health, how is your energy and sleep patterns. It'll ask a bunch of things like this. And this type of tool is the #1 thing that patients comment on when they walk into my office and say, you're going to help me. I was like, why do you think that? And they said, because no one asks me the questions you ask. They're like, I've been to this specialist and that doctor and these health clinics and whatever, but I've never filled out paperwork as extensively as I did to come into your office in that little hole-in-the-wall place on 1960, right? And they're excited about it because I get details that normal professionals don't do. In fact, as a real-life experience this week, someone in our office had a chance to go out to California to help out with some medical stuff in the hospital, and the doctors in the hospital were incapable of interacting together to see the whole, right? The person was in a stroke-like experience, dizziness, vertigo, not getting the care they needed. So then the neurologist comes in and says, this is what you've got. And then the cardiologist comes in and says, no, you've got this. And then the ENT person says, this is what's really going on. And then everybody else was just looking at other parts, but couldn't help the person. And the spouse of the person in the hospital was grateful for this individual that was helping them, because they said, how did you know to help out in the whole rather than just looking at the pieces? And the person was like, well, we're more than just our individual parts. And they all have to work together. And we forget that sometimes when we come in and say, I've got a neck pain, and it's only in my neck. Because digestion can cause neck stuff, high blood pressure can cause neck stuff, inflammatory foods can cause neck stuff, necks being out of whack can cause neck stuff, all kinds of stuff can cause neck stuff. So why would I only hone in on the microscope in one spot without looking at more? This changes nutritional practices if you don't use it. There's a little key that goes with it, so you know which category goes with which section, and it's a starting point. So if I did nothing else except say, you know what, I'm going to ask more questions to my patients by including something like a symptom survey, you now have an opportunity to take that 40% of your patient base that has nutrition, identify the imbalances that they have, and now you start helping more people, and that 40% becomes 50. And 10% more of your patient base starts getting better because you're taking over more of their health responsibility in that way. And if you're at 80%, it becomes 90 if you don't already use these. Secondary complaints. As mentioned before, if someone comes in with a neck problem, I will ask them a single sentence every single time, no questions asked. If I had a magic wand and I could help with anything else, what else would you add to that list? That's me saying, do you give me permission to do more because I see that you're overweight, you have 14 medications on your list, your neck hurts, your back hurts, your digestion's terrible, you don't sleep at night, etc., and you only wrote as chief complaint headaches. Are you giving me permission to figure out what's really going on, or are you saying, no, Dr. Hayden, I only want my neck cracked today. I will deal with everything else I'm doing as I drive through the Taco Bell line later and figure it out afterward, right? So I love, someone taught me that when I first started practicing. It's never left my life since, except when I get lazy and then Liz chews me out and says, hey, you're not helping as many patients as you used to with your nutritional stuff. Why? And I say, oh yeah, I've stopped asking people if I could really help them, and I got my eyes in the blinders, and just started cracking backs and doing things like chiropractors do sometimes, right? So the other thing, we're not going to go into a lot of it, but I do a lot of lab testing. I run blood work on patients. I do functional testing like Dutch testing or stool samples, and I do things like that because I like it, and I think it tells me more things. If at the very beginning when I first graduated school, I thought I would never need that. I do a bunch of muscle testing type techniques. I thought I was God's gift to man coming out of school of how brilliant I was and how good I was going to be. And the first time a patient handed a thing of blood work to me and said, what does this mean? And I said, who cares? Just give me your arm. Let's see what we can do. Right? Like that was a bad experience as a doctor-patient relationship. It's like, that's data, that's information. Funny story, since Aaron's in the room, the very first time that happened that they really wanted information, I said, you know what? Let me look over it. And whenever you come back next time, I'll tell you more about your lab tests. And I just called Aaron. I was like, Aaron, you've done blood work before, right? And he said, yeah. And they said, great, I got a patient I need you to help with. And I just faxed him, because we still use fax back then, right? So I faxed him the blood test, and he looked at it, and he wrote back some notes and said, give him this, 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 and this. And they faxed it back. And the next visit, I just handed the paper and said, we're going to give you these supplements. And and she said, okay. And she did it. And then she told her friend, and her friend came in, and she said, my friend said you help with blood work and stuff like that, and you can help me out. What do I do here? And I was like, let me just look over it tonight, and I'll tell you next time. And I called Aaron up and said, hey, I got another question for you. And I sent him some blood work, and a new recommendation came back, and I was like, this is so great. I could do blood work testing. I'm going to change my practice. And then Aaron said, but you should learn how to do this yourself. And so I was like, well, why? You're 10 digits away, buddy. And this is easy. And he said, no, we got to learn how to do this. So we started learning how to do a bunch of functional medicine stuff, and he really introduced me to a lot of things. But there's a lot of value in lab testing. Even though I do a lot of muscle testing and I do a lot of physical exams and a lot of questionnaires, we don't know what we don't know, right? And we can't fix what we can't find. And as good as I think I am in certain things, I get blood tests back. I'm like, son of a gun, how did I not see that in either a history and an exam and a questionnaire or something? And now it gives me something to do to help the patient get where they really need to be. So I do a lot of labs. There's a lot of ways to do that. But what we're going to spend the crux of our time together with, since I'm pontificating today, I used that word earlier and Aaron liked it, so I wanted to bring it up in real life. We're going to focus on our nutritional exam and some basic level manual muscle testing as we're working together. So, from a nutritional exam, why do I do this? The number one reason I would do this is because I'm going to touch the patient already. I want to wow them on the first visit so that they say, I'm in the right place. I understand that my 10 pages of paperwork are a hurdle they have to jump over. I understand that they have to call and schedule an exact time in my office, and that's sometimes cumbersome and odd. They just want to walk in and see a doctor like an ER clinic or something. And I understand that I'm going to ask them to do hard things, like change their diet, stop eating Taco Bell, take some supplements, go to sleep at a normal time, things like that, right? So I understand that I'm going to already ask them to do hard things before they ever see me. So I want to wow them the moment I have a chance to actually touch them, take a history, and do something so that they walk out of the room and say, yep, I'm in the right place. So many of us are chiropractors or acupuncturists or nutritionists or do something where we have an opportunity to touch people. So if I'm going to touch someone and figure out why their neck hurts, why not spend a quick 5 minutes to do some other things to put in conjunction with their lab test, with their history, with their symptom survey, so that I see all the puzzle pieces at once, instead of just saying, hey, I'll do this blood test and then I'll do your nutrition later. I'm going to crack your neck now. I probably shouldn't say that. I'm going to reduce the vertebral subluxation at this moment, right? So there's different ways in which we do things. I like to do a physical exam so I can touch the person, so I can wow them with the neurology of nutrition, and so that I can get a chance to see what they can tolerate. Because if I poke on their rib what I think is light force and they think it hurts, well, I want to know that, because I'm about to do something to their neck. What if they can barely, fibromyalgic type person or whatever that doesn't like just being touched in general? So I like to wow them. I like to let them see what I'm going to, but more than anything, it's something different that they have never seen before. I guarantee you. Patients come to my office and say, oh yeah, I've been to chiropractors. I'm like, okay. And we do stuff. They're like, never mind. What are you doing? Because this is voodoo or black magic or something. I don't know what it is. But it's not what I expected. Because remember, we're all put in boxes. They Googled chiropractor. They saw my name. They think I'm a backcracker. I want to break that box and allow them to give me permission to help them get better. So as part of the exam, I'm going to do range of motion or do whatever I do with whatever the problem is comes in. But I'm going to do a 5-minute basic palpatory, touching, nutritional exam. And I say 5 minutes loosely. It might take 30 seconds on some people. It might take 7 minutes on some people. It's a very quick evaluation that lets me see how are they responding, what potentially is inflamed, and more importantly, how might I make a correction? And I don't want any of us to walk out of here and think that I made this up and that I'm a brilliant person, because I'm not. I've learned how to do a lot of this stuff from other doctors, and we are condensing it down into workshop status so that you have a chance to practice on each other and be able to implement things on Monday. Because none of this stuff is original thought to me. It's just stuff that I've learned from different people, and that Dr. Chapa has learned from different people. And we said, if someone wanted to help someone tomorrow or Monday, what might we teach them? And this is where we're going into. So we're going to deal with something called Chapman reflexes. If you are familiar with the concept of professional applied kinesiology as taught by the International College of Applied Kinesiology, you might have heard something about Chapman reflexes before. Chapman reflexes are viscerosomatic reflexes, so things where organs manifest something to the skeletal system. Okay? So we've all seen this in real life before, even if we've never done anything that has to do with applied kinesiology or not. But if you have a heart attack, where do you feel it?
Left side.
Left side. Why the left side? Why not the big toe on the right foot? Why? Anybody remember? Like third try chiropractic school or whatever? We have viscerosomatic reflexes because nerve bundles that leave the spine go to certain body parts and go to certain organs at the same time. And just like the breaker box in your home, when nerves blow up, a certain pattern expresses itself. So if you plug in 17 hair dryers into one outlet in your bathroom and the lights stop working, that would be weird, right? But you would know the circuit's blown. You could unplug those hair dryers, go right to the breaker box, and know exactly which one to mess with because it's labeled, hopefully, in your home, right? Well, Chapman reflexes, as determined by Dr. Frank Chapman, were reflexive areas to the body that tend to associate with organs that have some level of inflammatory load going on with them, or some level of dysfunction. And they're palpatory things. You touch, they hurt, you say, huh, maybe that circuit is blown. And you go on and you do the next part. Oh, that didn't hurt. Okay, probably fine. Now, does that mean if I jab on someone's pancreas and it doesn't hurt, and I do a blood test and they have pancreatic cancer, that I'm a terrible doctor? No. It means that I needed more data, and I can't put all of my eggs in one basket off of one test, right? So we're using puzzle pieces to create a whole. We're not saying because it hurt here, you have cancer. Because it hurt here, you have no enzyme activity in your life. Does that make sense? We have to take clinical context with patient history, with physical exam, with laboratory testing, with manual muscle testing, with whatever, and we throw it together into one big picture and say, now I think I know what's going on, and this is how I'm going to use my clinical judgment to treat you, right? So with Chapman reflexes, in a moment, we're going to start seeing where different parts of the body tend to manifest pain in certain areas, and then we're going to go through how we might evaluate it quickly, do something. You all right? Yeah, sure. Okay, you look like you were lost. So, not yet. So what we're going to be doing is looking at Chapman reflexes, seeing how to evaluate them, and then we'll run through and practice with each other. Because today, if you sit here in the chair the whole time, we'll have missed the boat. We want you standing up, talking, touching, feeling what it feels like, seeing what the change looks like. Any questions on Chapman reflexes? If you get really, really bored, there's a book about them from Frank Chapman, oddly enough. A bunch of other books about them through Applied Kinesiology. There's some published research and through PubMed. If you search Chapman reflexes, there are some things you can find. It's a neat little correlation through physical exam. This is the most basic, easy, streamlined section of points we're going to mess with today. There are others that I do sometimes. This seems to make a nice little simple flow. You will notice this is not all-inclusive of every organ in the body, nor is it all-inclusive for all the potential problems that someone might have. But it's a quick, easy introduction of saying, you know what? I want to do something to this neck pain patient that I get tomorrow, and I'm going to see what might show up. I can run through this, less than 5 minutes, and the new patient exam never even seems to have a hiccup in the system, right? You just, new patient exam, you do your normal thing, you're like, yeah, let me check some stuff. Oh, that hurt? Chase said that might mean something. I'm going to try and introduce some nutrition into your life so I can not just make your neck pain go away through cracking your neck, but where I can get some other stuff going on because maybe this is referred somewhere else. So we're going to go through these today and go over them. And if it takes 5 minutes, I'll be shocked. If it's less than 5 minutes, that's usually more likely. So this is what each of our slides are going to look like for the next little bit. And you are brilliant, brilliant people. Many of you have doctorate level education. Some of you deserve doctorate level education even if you don't have it because of how smart you are. Liz is our honorary doctor. She can run our office. People can call her up and ask questions. She's like, Chase is going to tell you this, but I'll go ask him anyways. And she'll write it down and say, this person's got this. And I'll say, do this, this. And she goes, that's 100% what I just told him. So she could put me out of, she's close to putting me out of a job. But she's so good. But each of these pages are going to look more or less like this with a slight caveat, and that is at the bottom of your pages, because of your handouts, I put actual standard process names that I will frequently go to whenever some of these reflex points start showing up. Now remember, this is a process where we're learning the first step, then we're going to build on it a little bit throughout the day, then we're going to build on it a little bit throughout the day, and so forth. So I'm introducing straight, non-muscle testing, palpatory evaluation for nutrition, and how we might consider using certain products to help it out. Y'all don't want me to read these slides to you, right? Because that would be horrendous for all of us involved. These slides are going to show different points. But let me just demonstrate what that might look like. When someone lays down on a table, does anybody want to be a volunteer? Anybody? Anybody? Maria, right? Is that it? Or yeah. Maria, come on up. Maria, we are going to get intimate with each other in the most doctor-patient professional way. Let's have you lie on your back, headed whichever way you want, okay, but on your back. Let's pretend Miss Maria here comes into my office and she says, Chase, I'm broken, I want some help. I say, that's great, you're in the right place. If I had a magic wand, what would you like me to help with? And they'd tell me everything, and I'd look over all their paperwork, and we go over everything, and I'd say, this is a perfect time to now help you out with what you want. You know what? Anything I do today, I'm sorry, let me rephrase this. I'm trying to be doctor-y. I'm in my real office now. Maria, we're about to do some poking and prodding on you, okay? What I'm going to do is try and figure out what's working well, what's not working so well. If I do anything and it hurts, please stop me and let me know. Nothing I'm about to do should hurt. So therefore, if it hurts, you tell me. Does that make sense for everybody? That wasn't too hard, too complicated. I talk in normal talk with patients. I don't use fancy doctor words. This is what I'm going to do. I've done whatever I want to do first, paperwork-wise. I always start the patient on their back, and I go right in this position. I practice on this side of the table 99% of the time. I will attempt to practice on this side, and hopefully I won't like jab an eye or something, because I'm using the wrong hand. But I would have them here. This is where they start. Whether they came in because they have neck pain, because they want to get pregnant, because they have digestive problems, because their big toe has a bunion, doesn't matter. This is where I start people. Because I want to go through this before I start doing crazy things and get distracted on fixing their real problem, right? I want to make sure I have a baseline of what's going on. And I would come through and I'd say, you know what, why don't you just bend your knees like this? Everything's going good, life's good, oh, this is great, great, everything's life. I'm small chatting, talking. I'm a very personable guy, you've noticed. No, I'm just joking. So we do things like this. But I'm going to start off in a flow of what seems to make sense to me. And I'd say, that's great. And then I come over to some random non-associated spot like a shoulder and say, this is about the same pressure I was using. On a scale of 1 to 10, what might this feel like? And she would say,
0.
0. And I said, okay, I've got a data point. Does that tell me anything other than she has palpatory pain over her rib? No. At this point in the game, I know nothing else other than this was a 3 and this was a 0. Right? We can't read too much into one individual test. This is how patients come tell us that everything's fine, but all their labs are abnormal. Or how people come in and say, I have cancer, and they have like a blood glucose of like 112. Right? So we sometimes extrapolate more than we need to off of the first data point, and we just need to slow our roll a little bit, right? So I just start gently palpating over the Chapman-related reflex toward a pancreatic enzyme-related area. Now, hypothetically, it's a 3. Could I stop there and just go check her neck now and do whatever else I wanted to do? Yeah, I could, because it gave me more data points. Now, if I was in regular practice, I would not stop there, and I would continue on to that spot. Because I would start on the right ribs, and I'd palpate down and say 3. I come to the left ribs, and I'd palpate down. Any pain or discomfort there? Yeah, 0. And I'm just mentally taking note of 0 to 10 scales as I'm palpating around through here. And my intake form when I work with patients has all these little things next to it. The back of the symptom survey form, I'm sorry if that was new for somebody. The back of this form has a little spot here where you can say like, hey, what happens in the hypochlorhydric spot? What might a hypochlorhydric spot be? An HCl point, right? So you have little things on the symptom survey if you use them straight from standard process where you could potentially write down what their pain levels are, things like that. But I would start here, enzyme point, no big deal. Hydrochloric acid point or stomach point, no big deal. And then just keep going through my chart here. And y'all have these slides. This isn't brain science, right? I was gonna say brain surgery or rocket science as one. This isn't crazy, but it's the ability to have the capacity to touch and figure out, does it hurt? I'm gonna show you a couple of quick slides, then I'm just gonna do it in real time. And if someone's bored, you can time me. And if it's 5 minutes, I apologize. If it's less than that, we're on the right page. Cool? Hydrochloric acid, gallbladder. This would be like a traditional Murphy's sign evaluation, right? I'm gonna come up under her ribs, and I'm going to have her breathe and dig in. Is that sore?
Yes.
You would? Out loud? That was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That was uncomfortable. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, what would you call that?
10.
That's a 10. You're like in childbirth, having babies with fingernail picks under your nails?
When I have a
No.
C-section.
Oh, okay. So she said 10 out of 10 pain. That's an aggressive level of pain. But this level of intensity, 0. On the ribs, 0.
On the ribs a little bit, but like 2.
Okay, cool. Hey, how's it going? Welcome aboard. That's the type of thing I'm looking for. She said it hurt. I didn't expect her to say it hurt. When I see her walk up here to be a guinea pig, I didn't think she must have raging gallbladder issues, right? I didn't say that at all. I just thought, oh wow, we've got some inflammatory stuff going on here. Maybe we see if we can fix it in a second. Maybe we can't. Maybe that's what's causing her neck pain. Gallbladder stuff can refer that direction. If we're thinking viscerosomatic reflexes, gallbladder, liver stuff can go up to the right shoulder into the neck. Maybe that's really why she has neck pain. You don't have neck pain, do you? Okay, this is my hypothetical example. But so does that make sense on how we could look at a patient that way? Yes, she might need the best chiropractic adjustment that I'm able to give her. And I'm gonna give her a good one. It's gonna be so good. But she might have a gallbladder that's sludgy and gummed up and the bile's too viscous and needs to drain a little bit more efficiently. And because I just took time to wow my patient by telling her this also is not good, she says, oh yeah, I'm ready to help. What do you want me to do? Never eat anything that tastes good and avoid all inflammatory foods, you'll do great. No, I'm just joking. That's the recommendation we give, right? Stop eating things that taste good, lower your carbs, take my supplements. You'll be fine. It works for everybody. I'm just joking with you. If I come to this other side, oh, sorry. The spleen has a Murphy sign as well that I'm doing and repeating on the other side. So I'm just gently coming over here. And that's also a little bit uncomfortable. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you call that?
Like a 7.
It's okay, 7, 8. So far we got 0, 0, 10, 7, 8. And I just kind of run this in my brain as I'm running through stuff, because then after I'm done poking on them, I'm going to write it all down. But because I like to wow people, patients that have never had this done, what comes next is amazing. Because I'm going to show them that they're in the right place. And even though it hurt, they're going to know 100% that I can help them out. But that's foreshadowing. We're going to go to the next. We're going to go to the next spot. Does that make sense? So now we're down here. We've got small intestines. It's basically you're just circumnavigating the umbilicus or the belly button. So we're just jabbing around it. Is there any pain or discomfort here? No. Okay. And then we have intestines. Where do intestines go? Around the small intestines. So I'm going to come over here and gently jab around the stuff. No problem. But then you got two magic areas with the intestines that we'll call the ileocecal valve on this side and the sigmoid colon, which is not really, but it's kind of like the Houston's valve, sigmoid colon area on the other side. I will get a little bit more aggressive here because these areas are notoriously jacked up in people that eat not healthy food. And so I just want to make sure, are these spots really doing as good as we think they can be? If any of you have been trained in any level of applied kinesiology, you might have heard of the ileocecal valve problem. And a way to fix ileocecal valve related things would be an acronym called DAPES. And this is not in your notes because I just spontaneously am reminded of this. I'm pontificating for Aaron in the background. DAPES would be if someone has these going on, please know that there could be other things besides like get off of gluten. So that's a very good start. Or stop eating Taco Bell, which is another really good start. And I'm sorry to hate on Taco Bell. I'm sure they do a good thing for some people, but it's just the easy reference point in my office. But DAPES, so you want to make sure that their diet, their allergies, I'll go slower since some of you are writing. They're not parasitic, so they're parasites. Their emotions, and the S is a weird one because it's supplement people sometimes, or stressors or sensitivities. So people will use the S in different ways depending on who you're talking to. So these points are transitional points in the body that will often manifest in a lot of weird, referred, crazy symptoms. Ileocecal valve dysfunction will frequently mimic flu-like problems in someone. Someone comes in, they're just stiff all over. They feel like they have a fever, but their temperature is fine. Their head hurts. Everything's just kind of sluggish. Their ileocecal valve may not be opening correctly between the small intestines and large intestines, and they're getting backup of fecal material circulating through things where they don't need it, and they're having toxic overload to their body, and they feel like garbage. It's because the ileocecal valve's freaking out. And so, yeah, they might have neck pain, but they might be parasitically overburdened. They might have digestive imbalances. They might be eating their favorite allergens or sensitivities every time they sit down with their family for dinner. They might have emotional craziness going on. You know, like the best thing about like the Merck manual, the diagnostic cookbook of medicine, right? When you have a problem, you figure out what it is, and it tells you what the pathophysiology is, what the treatment is, what the medication is, how to dose it out. You know, it's the flow chart of how we treat people. When we look up IBS in the Merck manual, it says, doctors reading this, medical doctors, osteopaths, chiropractors, whoever, you cannot rule out emotional problems. I'm sorry, you must rule out emotional problems if someone has IBS related things. It's straight out of the Merck manual. But yet, when we have patients come in with IBS, everybody's just like, yeah, just take like this proton pump inhibitor, maybe that'll help you. Or let me give you a probiotic, maybe that'll do it. Not us, because we look for things. But the doctoral conventional wisdom is, I'm sorry, you have IBS, you get stuck with it. And we forget that there could be an emotional component to this thing. There could be a food sensitivity that they're eating every day when they have their food that's just aggravating stuff. So the ileocecal valve and the sigmoid colon or the Houston valves are common areas you'll find on people that never once mention digestive problems. And it will shock you how many times you see these points flare up on people. And we start changing them. They're like, you know, it's so weird. Like, my husband's not a jerk anymore. I mean, no one of your wives say that, I'm sure. Female patients don't say things like that. But they're like, you know, I just tolerate my life differently because things are flowing and moving. They're getting all that crap out of them, literally and figuratively, right? So, some fun things you'll find on people as you start just dinking around, poking on them. When I jab here, any pain or discomfort? No. You'll notice I go deep into these points here. I want to really try and get down and say, hey, can I hit something that hurts? And if I come to this side over here, I'm so excited you don't have those off. Good for you. So far, if we go back and revisit, 0, 0.
It was 3.
I'm sorry?
0, 0.
No, the ribs were zeros. 10 under the ribs on the right, which was the liver gallbladder spot. 7, 8 under the ribs on the left, which was like the spleen, pancreas spot. It's nothing in the small intestines, nothing in the large intestines. I've jabbed deeply into the corners for my valves. I'm going to come in just a smidge to where the ovaries might be, in case I need to say it on a female. I don't know. I jab in this area and say, no problems. Good. What if they don't have ovaries? I don't care. I'm going to check that area and see what happens. Because maybe it still hurts. Maybe they have scar tissue from when they had them surgically removed. Who knows? I like to check things. Great. 0, 0. We're on ovaries, right? Good. We're on breasts now? Perfect. I'm going to jab you in your chest.
Okay.
I say that every time. And they're like, what? It's not going to be weird. But I'm going to gently jab you like this, okay? Any pain or discomfort when I jab like this?
No.
No. Do I do this on men? Every time. Why not? Men have chests. They don't have ovaries, but they have chests. So I jab in the areas where they got them, right? Following that, I poke on their sinuses. So I'm going to come up to their face. I'm going to check on their frontal sinuses. Any pain or discomfort there? I'm going to jab on their maxillary sinuses. Any pain or discomfort there? Good. Could I potentially induce pain on somebody? I'm kind of a big deal, guys. I'm strong. I could force pain on her. Am I intentionally trying to do that? No. So I have to have that in mind. Am I really pushing at an appropriate pressure for this individual to recognize that this is a physical exam? Or is Chase coming over here saying, today I sell a bunch of supplements? Right? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to abuse people. I'm trying to use diagnostic criteria. And so far we've found a couple of things that we didn't know about. Did you know that those were broken? You knew about the gallbladder? She knew about it. If I would have taken better history, we both would have known about it before I even pushed on her. Right? But I didn't take a history. We just said, let's see what happens. So now what do we do about it? This is the big question. That's why I wrote, now what? If you were a doctor right now, it's Monday morning, you said, I'm going to do what that crazy guy up front said, I'm going to poke on people, and all of a sudden I found a 9-10 and a 7-8, what would you do? There's no wrong answer. What would you do? You what? You're going to change her diet based off of what you found so far. That's a great answer. I would do that. What else? Liz, you would give AF beta food. That's cheating. Everybody gets AF beta food, and that's the correct answer every time, no matter what the problem is. No, I'm just joking. That's a good answer. Why would you give AF beta food? In case someone doesn't know what AF beta food is, why would you pick that particular thing? Okay, so you would do nutritional support for liver gallbladder area, and in your clinical expertise, you would say AF beta food is the appropriate thing because that supports liver gallbladder related things. That's a brilliant idea. Christy, do we have bottles we can open up of things? These, I can have access to all these? Okay, perfect. So because Liz, Dr. Liz, says she would use AF beta food, I would say it's a brilliant idea. And this is what I do in my office. In my office, I've got bottles that are open and available for me to use with patients in real time during an exam. And they just sit off to the side, and I'm going to do exactly what I would do in my office. These would already be open, so I wouldn't be doing this part of my office. But it would be similar at one point in time. I would say, Maria, when I jab on you, we have pain under here and pain under here. We're going to do an experiment. We're going to see if I can get that pain to change. And using neurology that I'm going to explain to the rest of the class in a minute, we're going to see if this works. And I would take a pill. I would place it into the cap of the lid here because nobody likes me touching things they're going to put in their mouth. And I would say, Miss Maria, would you please put that in your mouth for me? I wouldn't do it in a dramatic salesman-y type way. I would do it in a normal conversation way. And she would suck on that. And she'd first ask, well, what is it? And I'd say, it's AF beta food. It's magic. It fixes everything. But go and put this in your mouth and just hold it on your tongue. And when you can taste it, you tell me. Can you taste it? Mm-hmm. Does it taste good? That's why my kids think it's candy. It has beets inside of it. It's a little bit sweet. Now, honest people will tell me it tastes like dirt. And that's fine, and I get that, because I think it tastes like dirt sometimes with some of the other things I use, but I like the taste of AF beta food. With that in your mouth, when I come over here and use about the same pressure as before, is this still about a 9 or a 10?
No,
What is it on a scale of 1 to 10?
like 8 to 9.
So it went down a little bit.
Yes.
So it was 9, 10, now it's only 8, 9.
Mm-hmm.
What about this side over here? Is that still 7, 8?
No,
What is it now?
like 5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a wow experience for you? Was that kind of neat? Did you know that AF beta food would make pain go down in your belly? You knew that already? Do you take it already?
Yes.
You know what I just realized, Christy? Or Aaron? We need someplace to spit stuff out.
No, I'm gonna.
You're just gonna swallow, well,
Yeah,
that's
I
fine,
know.
swallow it out, go ahead. But at some point, we may need a place to dispose of the things that we don't want them to have anymore. So maybe like, I don't know, whatever you want to do is fine. I literally do this on new patients when they come to my office. I palpate them, I find something that hurts, and I say, let's just try a game. Maybe if I give you this, it'll make a palpatory change to help me, the clinician, know that yes, your liver gallbladder is really inflamed because when I give you liver gallbladder support, you have therapeutic benefit. It's not hard. It's not fancy either. It's just me poking around and doing something. Sometimes we like sexy things in the office. You know, we go buy cool equipment, and we run a computer chart on them, and we give them a graph, and like, this is how you're broken. This is just me and the patient interacting. But hopefully they're excited about it and say, whoa, no one's ever checked to see if what they're about to give me is going to help before. But now, this guy, it was weird, because I've never done that, but I liked that the pain went down, and now maybe we're onto something. Anybody else think of something you might do besides AF beta food? What do you got, Sydney?
Liver gallbladder flush.
Liver gallbladder flush. You're going to probably modify their diet, do some other things to just drain that liver gallbladder out. What types of things might you do for that if we were thinking liver gallbladder flush? And I know we may not necessarily say the word of a standard process thing, but like what types of things come to mind when you think liver gallbladder flush?
Olive oil,
Okay,
and maybe some prepping before you get olive oil.
right. So maybe like apples and pears for a couple of days, something like that, and maybe a little bit of a fast. Aaron, how many liver gallbladder flushes have you done in your life? 26 liver gallbladder flushes. That is a guy who's dedicated to his craft or has nothing else to do in his life. No, I'm just joking. No, Aaron is great because he lives and breathes this concept where he's like, hey, I'm not having a gallbladder thing today, but I don't want a gallbladder thing later. Let's do a gallbladder flush. I've only done like 8 or 9, so I'm not as cool as Aaron. But Aaron does some really good things, and he proactively takes care of his body and says, I want to do this because I don't want to have to lay down on Chase's table and get jabbed on and be told I'm about to have my gallbladder removed, so let's be proactive with it. So we modify our diet. We might stimulate flushing in certain characteristic ways. We might use supplements like AF beta food. Off our shelf here, I'm going to try a different one. Sure, if you're down with that. Beta call, that's what I really want. I'm just going to take another one. Like I said, I've got a bunch of stuff on my shelf, and there's like 15 to 20 bottles at any given time that I will just say, oh, well, AF beta food got some change. And I like change, but what if I can get 8, 9 down to like 3, 4? That's cooler than 8, 9 down to 7, 8. Does that make sense? That makes me think I'm on a better clinical path if I can do that for them. So here's a different one. Oops. And go ahead and put that in your mouth for me. It's in her mouth. She's creating a neurologic-based reflex, and I haven't talked about that slide, but you've all seen it in your notes, and you see it behind me. But she's creating a taste response. When I jab like this now, is that still like that was 9, 10?
No, not like that.
Is it better than AF beta food or about the same as AF beta food?
It's better with the AF.
AF beta food is better. All right. Don't spit that out for me. There's no graceful way of doing it, and nobody's watching, don't worry. Okay, good. So I might try that one. So if I had the choice right now, based off of patient interaction with me, between giving her AF beta food or beta call, what would I probably do clinically if those were my only 2 options? AF beta food. It makes sense. The patient's telling me exactly what their body needs because of palpatory change. Did you have a question? Yes, sir.
Yeah, what if you took both?
That's a great question. Let's try it. Heck yeah, I'm all for experimentation. You okay with this?
Yeah,
If you don't mind being experimented on, I don't mind doing it.
I love so.
But this is a great question because these are the types of things that go through, oh yeah, just don't swallow it before we get this other one in. So these are the types of things that go through my mind sometimes when I'm messing around with people saying like, what do I really want to create as a clinical program for this individual? So she's got both of them in her mouth now. They've been there for a bit to create a neurologic change. Is that better than either one of them individually? No? No, all right. So it's a great idea. In this particular moment, it doesn't seem to make a change. Could it make a change in someone else? Yeah, it could be. And you know what you'll notice is I'm checking spleen pancreas point, even though we're focusing on liver gallbladder point. Why? Why would AF beta food possibly help the spleen or pancreas side over here if we think of it as a liver gallbladder thing?
Because it's fast digestion, and digestion is not only bad, it's light-based.
That's right. So to metabolize fats and other things, you don't just need bile. You need other things that come from the pancreas. And the cheat code of standard process is whole food-based nutrition overlaps into a variety of areas, right? So I can use whole food-based things and say AF beta food is going to have beets, carrots, liver, whatever inside of it, and guess what? Your body can benefit with those things even if it's not labeled gallbladder support or labeled spleen support. Does that kind of make sense? We're going to do another one.
What was the last one you did?
Beta col. I'm going to do Zypan, and we're just going to test it. Zypan is often one we think of with stomach digestion and hydrochloric acid type things. Just hold it on your tongue. It's going to be super sour and disgusting. We normally wouldn't have people chew Zypan or something because it'll rip off the enamel of their teeth. And so we generally don't like that, but in their mouth for a little bit, it's no big deal.
Very.
Is that the best one out of all of them?
I think so.
That's weird. How many of you had Zypan in your bingo card for liver gallbladder pain? Go and spit that out for me.
I like it.
Just don't chew it.
No, I'm just.
That's fine. Go ahead and have a seat for me. Don't chew it and don't suck on it too long because it'll take the enamel off your teeth. That's what hydrochloric acid does. Try, you can go and have a seat for me. Thanks for being a guinea pig. You were a great help. Does that make sense? Does that make sense on how we might do this in real life? Like, hopefully this isn't too crazy. We are so, this was, internally in my head I had a clock going and we're like 3 minutes away from workshopping this. This was perfect so far. This is me patting myself on the back publicly, sorry. No, I don't need that, that's fine. So why are we doing this, right? What mechanism happened when I stuck something on her tongue and made a change through palpation to an area that she didn't digest the food, she didn't assimilate the food, she didn't mobilize and create new cells from that food yet? What happened? Neurologically speaking, we are creating change through neurologic, reflexive, sensory-based provocation. That was a lot of fancy gibberish. Nerves recognize when things change in your body. If you have a patient with a peanut allergy and you give them a peanut, how long does it take for them to react? Seconds to not very long, right? Does that mean they took that peanut, digested it over the course of the next 2 hours, mobilized it through their bloodstream, delivered it to their cells, and now are making new things in their life to have a reaction from it? No. Neurologically, immunologically, their body saw it and very quickly said, this is a poison, it's out to kill me, please don't. Why can't that process work in reverse? Hey, Maria, this hurts when I jab on you. Let me give you food. Let me nourish your body and see how your body is capable of telling me that we're on the right track. So she feels food. Her nervous system, through her taste buds, go up and say, you know what? I think I know what I can do with that. And guess what? We're going to reduce pain. Boom, that fast. Because that's how nerves work. And she has a chance to be wowed and say, I think that doctor might know something. Sure, he's the 48th doctor I've seen for these same problems and nobody else has helped me. But no one's done that. No one's taken the time to find out more about me than just that my neck hurts or that I have fibromyalgia or whatever. Everybody else just says, whatever, what are you here for? Great. But he asked questions. He ran blood work. He touched me in appropriate ways to find out what's going on. He gave me something and was able to identify the exact thing that my body benefits from. Was it perfect? Did we get it down to 0 out of 10? No. Did we create a change? Yes. So now as I modify her diet, start doing liver gallbladder flushes, support her nutritionally, what do I expect my clinical outcomes are going to be if her palpatory inflammatory response goes down? We're going in the right direction. And she's going to get better. And she's going to tell all of her friends. And she's going to bring in her kids. She's going to drag in her spouse. And it's going to be great, right? Because that's how it works. And she got something out of the visit that she didn't expect. She's now being nutritionally fed when she thought she was just getting her neck cracked today, in the hypothetical scenario of a chiropractic visit, if someone does that. To be honest, there's about like, Liz and I were talking about this the other day. We think we're somewhere between 85 to 95% of our patients are on some level of supplementation in our office. And that's not like to pat ourselves on the back, but it's because we do these things. When I first started practice, patients would come in because they'd hear about me from church or whatever, and they're like, you're the chiropractor, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm a chiropractor. And they come and say, man, my back is killing me. Can you give me a massage? I'm like, just schedule an appointment. We'll see what happens. And they come in and, give them what they want while telling them what they need. Give them what they want while telling them what they need. Hey, you got some stuff going on with your liver gallbladder. What's going on here? I don't know. Every time I eat, I get reflux and I burp, and I only poop twice every week, and I wake up every morning at 1 a.m. to pee. Oh, okay. Your gallbladder's not working. Give them what they want while fixing other stuff and telling them what they need. And my office at the beginning was more structural neurologic based. And then over the years, it's shifted dramatically to where patients rarely come in with an individual complaint that says, I just want my back fixed. Yesterday we had carpal tunnel guy. Yesterday, a brand new patient comes in, drug in by his wife, because that's how it happens. So the husband comes in and says, I have carpal tunnel. I was, okay, what did the other doctors say? And he goes, well, they said I have carpal tunnel. What did they do to evaluate you? They didn't touch me. They just heard my symptoms, and they said, you have carpal tunnel. They do a nerve conduction test. They do MRI. They do physical exam. Do they prayer sign, reverse prayer sign, any of that? No. They just said I have carpal tunnel because of how I get numbness and tingling here. So, okay, if I had a magic wand and I could fix anything else, what else would you want me to fix? And he just starts listing things. I'm tired all the time. My posture sucks. My back's bad. I'm constipated. I say, great. You know what changed his manual evaluation and his palpatory pain? Drenamin, or was it? There's Drenamin was one. I don't know. An adrenal-based supplement created nerve changes to his fingers, and we said, start changing your diet. We're supporting you nutritionally. You'll do better. And he was blown away, and his wife was like, thank you so much for just spending time to talk with this guy and touch him and do an exam. I've been trying to get him to come see you for years, but like all husbands, he doesn't listen, and now he's here, and you did something different. Carpal tunnel turned into really a blood sugar and adrenal problem, and we cracked his neck, because that's what we do. Cool? That's why things like that happen. What's the next slide say? Oh, here's a case study. This is exciting. Because maybe hypothetically you're a student, or maybe you're a primarily structural based person, and you're like, tomorrow I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask these people to fill out a symptom survey. I'm going to ask them if I had a magic wand, what else could I do? And I'm just going to see what I got. And this person walks in. All right? Now you can read this, but basically it's a 54-year-old lady, slightly overweight, and she says, I'm here because I've got pain. And I've been to 1 million people. I think she has 15 years. She's seen all kinds of chiropractors and stuff. And she's like, and the chiropractor just doesn't help anymore. I was like, well, why'd you go to the chiropractor then? She said, because the people I know, like, and trust said I should come see you. Even though you're a chiropractor, and for the last 15 years I've gone to chiropractors, and currently chiropractic is not helping me, I'm going to come see a chiropractor. Right? It sounds weird, but she knew that we were going to do something a little bit different. And so then she starts opening up, and all of a sudden, when I say, do you have a magic wand? She says, heck yeah, I've got a magic wand. Here we go. Can you help me with fatigue, mental concentration, like anxiety, OCD, focus, etc.? I can't lose weight. I get hot flashes, low libido, dry, freaky skin, acid reflux. That's what I'd really like help with. By the way, I don't have bowel movements ever, and my back always hurts. I've done chiropractic stuff. I went ahead in the last 6 months, stopped doing these other things because they didn't help. But I'm also borderline diabetic, hypertension. I've got lipomas. I've got these other skin-related things that have been surgically removed. I have only a third of my thyroid that was removed. I was in accidents. I can't do stuff. I'm on these other medications. You can fix his neck, right? Right? Now, this might seem intimidating, but guess what? We're principle-based in our approach. And I don't mean that too weird, but what am I going to do? I'm going to take a history. I'm going to touch the person. I'm going to fix what I find, right? I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, you got this. You must go take this medication, or you must go do this. I'm just going to treat the person like a real person, right? So we start doing whatever we do. Do you think I did a nutritional evaluation on her? Heck yeah, I did. That's what she's there for. Do you think I cracked her neck? Do you think I reduced the vertebral subluxation of her spine? Yes, I did. Because that's what she needed. But she also needed to change her diet. So I had her start tracking her food, do some things. But nutritionally, that day after that first visit, I gave her stuff to take based off of what her nutritional exam was. And so I get a text the next morning. I'm sorry, this is her exam. I did some other palpatory things that aren't in your notes, but you're brilliant people. The IT band is over here. I just touched it, right? It's not in your notes, but it reflects with the large intestines. If you can imagine the large intestines coming up and around and down, and you split it in half, and you flopped it down, The closest part of the large intestine reflex is the top part of the IT band. And across your belly when I touch you. In Chinese acupuncture, Irina, is this the right spot? Ish for large intestine 4. Hopefully it's the right spot because that's what I do on everybody. She's an awesome acupuncturist, by the way, if y'all want to talk shop with her. So I jab on large intestine 4, and guess what happened? Oh, it hurt a lot. And so I was like, okay. When I palpatorally poke on spots and I touch things and they hurt, I think I should probably do things to those body parts to make them feel better. So I put stuff on her tongue. I did some muscle testing stuff like Erin's going to show in just a bit, and we gave her a program. So then she sends me this text, which is kind of blurry from my view here. But ultimately it's like, holy crap, you're the best person in the world. I'm going to tell everybody I know about you. That's the summary, right? Because we took time to do something different than no one else was doing, and we let her body tell us exactly what it needed back. You don't have to read this. It's just me patting myself on the back again. But it's her saying, you did something that no one else could do. Oh, and by the way, my bowels were in top working order this morning from someone who doesn't have bowel things working in their life. And guess what gets better when your bowels start moving? Backs usually get better because they're associated, right? So cool things happen. She was excited about it. She ended up losing a bunch of weight. All of her symptoms went away. She's like down to 1 medication now instead of the others she had. New person. We changed this person's life. Not we, like she, her life changed because she did what she needed to do. She got off of inflammatory food, she balanced her blood sugar, she took good supplements that fed her body, and her body says, I now know what to do. Because our bodies are freaking amazing. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to break up into groups. And we're going to workshop a little bit. You can just turn that off. Nobody else needs to hear this part. All right. How'd that workshop go? Does anybody have any specific questions regarding the workshop? What worked well? What didn't work so well? How it might flow in practice? Yes, ma'am.
So one of the things that they were kind of asking was like, when do you stop? Like
The question is, when do you stop?
Like, yeah, when do you say they put a supplement on their tongue and now they're down to 0? Are you done? Can you move on?
So if I understand your question correctly, I'm poking around on somebody. It hurts. I put something in their mouth. The pain goes down to 0. What do I do next?
Yeah.
So that's a great question. So my next step would be I would write that down in my notes. And if it made sense clinically, through their history, their exam, their labs, their palpatory findings, their muscle testing, whatever, I would say, that's probably something I'm going to give that person, right? What if, hypothetically, makes it go down to 0, and you can't figure out at all, one way, shape, or form, a rationale for why this person needs this supplement in their life, based off of history, symptom survey, questionnaire, etc. I still might give it to them, but I'd want to know, why am I doing this, right? And I say that because I worked with a doctor who was preparing for her diplomate in clinical nutrition. And so she needed to create some case studies and write some publishable findings based off of who she was seeing. Now, we do some weird stuff in our practices sometimes, right? Like sometimes we come up with some crazy programs, we might do some weird muscle testing, we might do something, right? So this doctor was trying to write out a case about a phenomenal case that she had. This guy walks in, life basically changes. His carotid calcium scores went down substantially, his cholesterol levels normalized, his blood pressure normalized, he got off of certain medications, and this doctor literally changed this dude's life, right? And so she said, I want to write about it. And she started trying to rationalize why she did some of the nutritional things that she did, and we couldn't come up with a reason. She's like, I don't even know why I give this guy this stuff sometimes. But it seemed to work in the exam, but I couldn't go before a board of my peers and say, this patient who had these things were given these products for this reason. It was a little bit hard, right? Now, I'm not saying that she did something right or wrong. Like, she obviously helped that guy a ton. But sometimes it's important to know why we're doing what we're doing. Because we're doctors and clinicians, we're not technicians, right? And that's the difference between what we're trying to accomplish here is, why are we doing it versus, dude, it hurt, it didn't hurt, here's $1 million product list, go, right? We want to know what's going on. And this can help figure out what's going on. So the big question was, if I saw a patient and I poked on them and it hurt, and then I put something in their mouth and it brought it down to a 0, what do I do next? Well, next I would say, this is another piece of the puzzle to the clinical presentation that you have. I might consider giving you this. And if through my dietary recommendations and my lifestyle modifications and now my supplement interventions are all lining up with each other, and that supplement makes the list, then obviously I'm giving it to that person. And if it doesn't make the list because of that, I might need to evaluate if I'm missing information from them. Why in the world would that product work so well if I have no idea why it's happening? It's possibly that I need to dig a little bit deeper and figure out why. And so that's what I would invite us to consider. There's no right or wrong answer to that, though, because you ultimately are the doctors in your offices, the clinicians that are working with the individuals, and doing the good stuff. Another question I heard just kind of in talking is, well, how do we know if we're palpating correctly? Like I said, I can push and I could induce pain on every person in this room if I just poke the right spot. But is that clinically relevant, or is that me attempting to show you how strong I am, right? So I'm attempting to do clinically relevant things with the intention of diagnosing a problem. I'm not trying to just inflict pain so I can make it go away with a pill. So when I'm palpating, I'm trying to gauge, is this the appropriate level of palpation for the individual that I'm palpating? Because if I'm palpating Aaron, and I know all about his past and his history and his things going on in his life, I might palpate him differently than a 100-pound female that comes to see me that I know nothing about. Right? So I'm going to try and match my clinical evaluation to the patient in the exact same way that I might adjust a 350-pound football player differently than I might adjust a 110-pound ballerina. Right? They still got the same bones, but I'm probably not jumping off the top rope with an elbow like I would with the big guy. Maybe a little bit more delicate, right? I have to try and gauge that, and it only comes through practice. So what are we doing Monday morning? Hopefully, we're going to experiment with it. We're going to have a new patient come in sometime next week. You're going to touch them, and you're going to say, let's see what happens. And you'll palpate, and they'll say, ow, that hurts. And you'll say, if I attempt to palpate you the same way in a non-related area, does that still hurt? Because maybe I'm just palpating too hard. And they're like, no, that doesn't hurt. You're like, okay, I'm trying to use the same force, but when I do it here, it does hurt. Maybe we're onto something. And then we got some tools off the shelf where we can start playing with it and see what we can do. Cool? Very easy. Implementation. Trying to make change. I guarantee you today, if you go home on Monday and go into practice and don't try anything we do here, nothing will change in your life. And nothing will change in your office either. And your patients will keep getting the same results they're getting, which may be super awesome already, and I don't want to discount that. But if we start modifying and changing things and incorporating more, you have the opportunity to do something different with your patients if you're not already introducing nutritional interventions at the level you want in your own practice. Does that kind of make sense? All right. I will be here the rest of the day. We'll eat lunch together in just a bit. But right now, without further ado, we have the privilege, nay, I say, the desire, to hear from none other than Dr. Aaron Chapa. Hailing from Deer Park, Texas. Give him a round of applause, Aaron Chapa. Yeah, all right. I'm going to put this on here too because I'm recording all of us.
Awesome. Well, that was quite an introduction, sir. And look, my camera even followed you off the stage, so I think you need to come back. Nope. So, guys, how was that?
Awesome. Awesome.
When you see me in that face, will you touch it twice? And that way it knows who it's looking at. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. And it should follow me around. Yeah, good job. So we always like ET to be present sometimes. With technology, it's really cool, except when it doesn't work. And so we're thankful that Chase got us on backup just in case the camera doesn't work. But it's just fun to tinker with technology. And you should get comfortable as clinicians, professionals in the field, being in the limelight a little bit. People are looking to us to guide them. People are looking to us to instruct them. People are looking to us to give them insight to why their body's breaking down and what they can do to turn it around. Isn't that a good little rhyme? And so the fun part of what we get to do in practice, like what we just discovered, is palpatory finding. So one of the things for me that I was just observing 2 nights ago, my daughter comes into my bedroom at 3 in the morning, and I go, Dash, is that you? Because my son broke his arm last week, so I'm thinking he's in pain and needs some help. No, Dad, it's just me. Just me. It's my angel. Whatever. You know, I go, and it's weird. The dogs can bark, I don't hear it. You know, somebody can text me, I don't hear it. But one of my kids just opens the door, hello? You know, and isn't that interesting as parents how we have that little intuition. And she goes, my head hurts and I'm struggling. Oh, well, come over. So for whatever reason, it's in the middle of the night. We don't turn the lights on because I don't want to stimulate all the melanocytes and wake myself up and not be able to go back to sleep, right? I'm not sure how long this is going to take. I'm hoping it's going to be quick. But I know she just came off a juice cleanse. She just came off a detox. And she's been eating some things that she shouldn't be putting back in her little 17-year-old body. But I'm proud of her for the work she did. But now she's got a headache. First headache she's had in, you know, over 25 or 6 days, right? And I'll go, I say, well, crawl in bed. I scoot over in the middle, move the dog over, and she lays down, and I go, when'd you poop last? She goes, I didn't. You know, she skipped a day. She knows what that means. I said, did you take your stuff? She goes, yes. I said, did you get into dairy? And she goes, I did. So, and remember, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up, so I don't want to be ornery and go, well, why the heck did you do that? That's stupid, right? That's what I wanted to say. She knows better. But no, she's my little angel. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I want to be tender to her needs. And I said, crawl in bed. Let's figure it out. So I start going to work. And I used one of the points on the hand, and I was thinking about this class and how kind of odd it was, or timely it was, that I have skills in the dark to help people. You guys have skills in the dark because you have power in your hands. Up, down, inside out, they teach us. Y'all still believe in that principle? I made it to this town, right? I still believe in it. I still know beyond a shadow of a doubt that if I touch certain reflexes, it will tell me things about the body. And guess where I found tenderness? Left or right? Right. Guess where I found tenderness? Right. So right hand, right intestine, ileocecal valve. And I got really excited because I was like, I'm going to tell my friends. I can't wait to tell you guys. This is good news. And so I go and I start working on the tummy. And what does my daughter do? She goes, oh. I said, shh, Mom's sleeping. And she goes, and I said, I didn't mean to push so hard. I didn't realize, because Mike and I were talking, right, that you should have no pain when you palpate these tender spots that Dr. Hayden was going over. They should not hurt. Are you kidding me? They shouldn't hurt at all? No. Why? Because when you work on the intestines, by the way, interesting about the intestines are the one system in your body that never, ever, ever, ever takes a break. At all points during time, it's either assimilating things for you or it's handling and waste management for you. Your heart's asleep 2/3 of your life. Asleep, resting, taking a nap. Consider this. Your intestines, never. So when they're full of waste, trash, debris, when they're full of infections, infestations, and garbage, when they're full of big old steak that you shouldn't have eaten because, you know, it was too late, or maybe it was processed appropriately, or maybe you got it to the point where it was like hard leather, and you asked your body to break that down, and it's taken 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days for it to break down. The average American is carrying 10 to 15 meals in their belly. And that's why we see so much inflammation throughout all of our body. So that tension that you feel in the back of your neck, that tension, headache on the back left side of your head, that is an intestinal issue. And we can find those points through these trigger points or these reflexes that Dr. Hayden was going over. And so I'm watching you guys work, and I'm thinking, wow, the simple concept alone of showing a patient from a 7, because I was picking on Mike, that most males, and I did find it interesting that most of the tables that were full, there were men on the table. Last week, we just finished our 21-day detox experience with patients all around town, and I had equally more men in our classes than I've ever had than women, and I was just thrilled. I got into practice because my dad died on me when I was 19 years old of a heart attack. I went to work. I said, I want to figure out why he died. I want to try to understand what I could have done different, because what my parents failed to do is teach me the power of nitroglycerin. They failed to teach me how I could have helped if he was in an emergency situation. We took it for granted that he would ever get into an emergency situation because he was a great cardiovascular patient. He did all the cardiovascular rehab. He did all the drugs. He did the surgeries. What more can Western medicine ask, right? But nobody palpated anything. Nobody started asking deeper, more meaningful questions. They didn't see me watching this guy sucking on Gaviscon and Pepto-Bismol every night from 12 to 1 in the morning, because I'd be coming in at 12 to 1 because I was a teenager, right? But sure enough, he'd be in his little lounge chair, watching TV, sipping on Gaviscon. Heck, I got in the habit of sipping on some Gaviscon because it tasted like mint, right? And they didn't ask him those questions. They didn't ask him the questions about constipation and stuff that now, going back, I was able to ask my mom about. And had we had some of these tools, we would have seen a Murphy's sign, or a Costella sign, or an ileocecal valve sign, or what they used to call the valve of Houston, but it's really just that junction where I think it's just us Houstonians believe there's a valve there called Houston. And, but the intestine coming down, that opposite reactional point where it goes into the sigmoid, down into these bends. I mean, the digestive tract is treacherous. Hairpin turns, right? And so we've got to be open to getting our hands dirty, if you will, like Dr. Hayden was expressing, and touching our patients appropriately, right? I was at a class, and like he said, you could go out of here, and our whole mission was to come in and you guys to play and practice, because we've been to so many seminars, and they promise we're going to practice, but there's no practice. It's just a bunch of lecture. And him and I have a lot to say, and we want to share because we love it, and we love seeing y'all get lit up over something. I went to a Jean-Pierre Baril, the Burial Institute, right? Great naturopathic doctor. Didn't even get CEUs for it. It was a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday class. You imagine how much information they downloaded into us in that 4-day seminar. I came home with the intent to play with all of it, but I found 3 organ visceral manipulations that I tinker with. Guess what they are? Intestines, liver, and gallbladder. Because they do everything. So when he says, what magic wand can you tell me you want me to fix? I could probably help tie it back to your intestines, your liver, or your gallbladder. And I can help more often than not just with my hands and no supplement at all. Because you got to give them what they want, package it up what they need, and help them understand the journey that's ahead, because it doesn't stop. They need the ongoing care and support. And so as you walk out of here, I just want you guys to be excited about the one nugget, whatever that one nugget that God's going to give you to take home on Monday. Now, some of you are well-versed. Chase said it. Patrick could teach this class probably better than us. He is one of the 4-route speakers, teachers that has inspired me. I've always genuinely wanted to be just like him, because I love his analogies and how he makes complex easy. And we got to get good at making complex easier for patients, because patients need to understand why their body's breaking down and what we can do to fix it. And what Dr. Hayden just painted a picture for us in the non-AK society is that neurologically we have a tool through just palpating the body to make it give a response. And then we can take a pill, a tablet, we can take a substance, we can take any outside force, apply it to the body, and get some kind of change. Maybe, or no change, maybe, or a complete resolution of the change that we want to get and wow the patient. But that becomes where we become private eye detectives. And we are uniting forces with our patients to find out why their body's breaking down and what we can do to fix it. So it's never them versus us. It's always us versus it being their issue. Make sense? So what is their issue? It's anything, everything. Who knows the great book from Alan Harper? Anybody? 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 Anything, you want some breakdancing? Can cause anything, right? Anything can cause anything. And so that means anything can fix anything. I love the Merck manual that it said you have to eradicate the possibility that emotions play play in the process. You know, you have 3 million more neurotransmitters in your gut than you do your brain. So if we can get these guys to fly right, this will operate right. Make sense? And so we're using tools, and so we're stepping into a new realm of possibility for some of you guys. And if some of this is a little out there, understand anything can cause anything. And anything can teach us anything. We just have to evaluate the symptom survey, the toxicity scores. We have to listen to the patient. We have to palpate and then listen to the responses. We got a guy up here that says, ooh, that tickles, I don't like it. That was neurological indicator, right? We know that pain shows up in many different ways. Tingling, numbness, right? Tickling, to the point where you touch my wife's big toe, she'll do some sort of weird kick that could potentially break your nose or break your jaw, and you don't want that. I don't want that. That's not what happened to my son. He actually was playing ball, but nonetheless, what we're about to step into is a form of testing that to some people is odd and weird, but it's all neurology. And it's also investigation. It's just a tool, okay? It's a snapshot in time. It tells us that something needs to be addressed, but it doesn't tell us what needs to be addressed. It doesn't diagnose, it doesn't treat, it doesn't cure anything. It just gives us a picture, just like the palpatory reflexes, of something that we can work on. It's not based on the concept of, oh, that's strong, that must be good. Or the concept that it's weak, oh, that must be bad. We're evaluating, does neurologically muscles work like God designed them to? And where are we starting? So when we look at muscle testing, if you do, for example, neuro-emotional technique, they start from a very different perspective of strong, weak, weak, strong, than applied kinesiology doctors. Versus somebody that's in the AK realm, like Evan Mladenoff, who, time is money, boys. We got 15 seconds on a 20-second timeout to make $1 million asset more $1 million axable on the field. Make them better, stronger. Because he's got to move fast. He'll use lasers, he'll poke something, he'll take his little hammer and bang on, a cerebellum, he'll do whatever to make change in the nervous system, right? So it's based on the concept of strength and change, not necessarily weak or strong or weak, okay? So just chew on that as we're going forward, because this is where people ask lots of questions and people get lost because they don't know which way's up. It's like scuba diving. You got to know which way the bubbles are going, right? All right, so manual muscle testing does not tell you what you should do. It's not a magic ball. It's not a crystal ball. It's not a storyteller or fortune teller. Doesn't tell the future. It must be performed with intent and an open mind. One of the best things I can teach anybody about muscle testing that's never done muscle testing before is simply this. If you don't get shocked every now and again, you ain't muscle testing. Because when you go into a patient room with already your own, I know what's wrong with you, Mike. I know what's wrong with you, Liz. I know what's wrong with you, Tiff. Phil, I got your number. Stuart, I got your number. If I have an attitude already of what I'm going to do, I missed the opportunity to be wowed myself as a clinician. And this is what I love about muscle testing, is it gives you an opportunity to dance with the unknown and to trust that the Holy Spirit is moving up, down, inside out. And it's simply this to me. It's a question. You have not because you ask not. So I'm going to tap in and I'm going to ask. I don't know what I don't know, but I hope I find something good. Why? Because this patient needs me. Your patients need you. And we want you to be excited to bring that type of energy to every visit, every time. Anybody interested? We would go to applied kinesiology classes and we would listen to some of the great minds of our past, educate us on how dancers' muscles, why dancers' muscles break down, why athlete muscles break down, why regular people sitting at desk jobs muscles break down. There's a boatload of muscles in the body. We've all done some dissections, and we've all seen that there is a lot of muscles that we can tinker with. In this arena, what we're doing is we're looking at primarily two muscles, okay? We're looking at a straight arm, delt test, anterior lateral, and potentially, if you have somebody that has an injury to their shoulders, because how many people do you know coming in off the street have some sort of labral issue, or they have some sort of tear in the muscle, or they have some sort of glitch where they can't get the range of motion, and ow, that hurts before you even get them there. Now, we can make a case and teach you how to navigate some of those things, but simply, you can just move on to a different muscle that does work, because hopefully they got something that works. Otherwise, they're really screwed up, right? So in that case, we just throw anything at them and get things moving, make a change, stir the pot, or get them on the pot safely. So when we look at, we want to make sure that a patient that is doing a muscle test in any shape, we don't want the central meridian to be crossed, okay? And so one of the things that we look at is we don't want the ankles crossed, and we want to make sure that they are, if they're laying down, that they're just laying with their, if they were standing. If they're standing up, women always do this. It's a great habit, just not in practice. This is the appropriate posture, feet on the floor, so that just like in the picture here, we're getting set up. Nice strong chest, nice strong back, and we're going to get in position where we just want to see, hey, can you even do these things? People can't. Like, it's fascinating. I remember Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill comes in. I was a student at the Texas Chiropractic College. Mr. Bill was one of the city workers. They gave discounts to the city workers, and Mr. Bill came in, and that poor dude, he had restrictions upon restrictions upon restrictions, and he was messed up. And nobody could fix. Nobody could move. Nobody could do anything for Mr. Bill. I don't even know why Mr. Bill would come, other than to pester us and make us feel like we were a bunch of, half-wits when it came to adjusting. Like, we weren't encouraged when Mr. Bill showed up. And he loved it. So sure enough, Mr. Bill comes in, and understand, at my school, muscle testing was absolutely frowned upon. I was threatened. I'd be kicked off of campus, kicked out of school for muscle testing. Okay. That's why I was so excited when I discovered palpatory work, gallbladder tenderness pain, or these stomach reflex points, or these intestinal reflex points, because I started poking and prodding on Mr. Bill, and I started giving Mr. Bill education that was different than other students, which gave me an opportunity to offer Mr. Bill some vitamins, some minerals, and some essential fatty acids. And all of a sudden, what no one could do, I became a magician. Mr. Bill goes, "Dad, gum, boy, I've never had a bone move like that." And I was like, "Did it hurt?" And he goes, "No, that was amazing. What did you do?" And he just would huff and puff in a great way until he went to see his medical doctor, cardiovascular guy. "What are you doing, Bill? You got off your what? You're doing what? You can't take those vitamins. You can't take that essential fatty acid. It'll kill you, Bill." Bill goes, "Well, okay, what do I do? Get back on your blood pressure, Bill. Get back on your cholesterol, Bill. Stop those vitamins, Bill." And guess what Bill did? He listened to his authority. I was just a half-wit, idiotic, fake doctor, right? Heck, I didn't even have a license yet. Couldn't even call myself doctor. And sure enough, guess who went back to being that restricted upon restricted upon restricted human being? Mr. Bill. It was mind-boggling. And I learned something. I learned that, one, he didn't know what he didn't know. Two, I didn't have authority yet in order to help him understand through communication how to make change, even if he was being threatened, bullied, or challenged outside of my expertise. So even if any one of you guys sent a patient to me and I totally thought your protocol was terrible, I would never, ever throw you under the bus. Do you know why? Because it just hurts the profession. It hurts the patient's confidence in the journey. And they are on their own journey. One of my best mentors, Stuart White, he said to me, he goes, rising tides raises all ships. And guess what? If you get to participate in a patient's journey, but you don't finish it out to the finish line, but Patrick does, or Liz, you do, guess what? Be excited that you got to play your part. And that's the part you get to play. And that's exciting. And that's where I've come to. That helps you not need the clout, the ego, the pride of success. Because remember, if you take credit, guess what you often have to do? Take blame. And I'll be honest with you, that is a humbling, bitter pill. So we never want to diagnose, treat anything with muscle testing. But we want to be, from a perspective of professionality and consistency, we want a tool on how to leverage these simple tests to give us insight into where the patient is. So we put pressure in a direction that forces the patient to contract and activate a muscle. And how many people have ever muscle tested outside of what you might have learned in school? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So the rest of you, this is going to be like a new skill. If I go and pick up my child's violin or tinker with my son's piano, I'm not very musically inclined. I like the concept. I sound like a broken record. You can ask my friends and family. I can't sing well, but I sure like to try, right? I'm not any good at it because I haven't practiced. So muscle testing is just going to take practice. We got to get to that workshop, and then you want to pick on these folks that have done it, and it literally just takes time. It's just like poking on reflexes. It takes time to know how to dig for information when your patient gives you some sort of feedback, whether they verbalize the feedback, or the muscle test reveals feedback, or their eyes, iridology, right? So the body is communicating. Are we listening? We want to encourage the patient to match our pressure without recruiting other muscles, and the muscles should engage and stabilize. It's called a neurological lock. That lock is an indicator that the brain recognizes that there's being a pressure applied to the body, and the body is now able to resist or match the pressure being put upon it. So I'm not trying to overpower my person. I'm trying to get in and dance with my person. Nobody wants to dance with somebody that's got 2 left feet. So we are dance instructors, and if you are today learning to become a dance instructor, you might find initially that you got a little bit of 2 left feet. You might be a little bit too hard. Some people say, I still muscle test too hard. A lot of times women, my wife would attest to this, they have an intuition for this. She can putt a golf ball better than I and never pick up a golf ball because she trusts her intuition, right? But I also would say the healthier we are in our body chemistry also builds our intuition. And so this is step 1, is finding a lock. If you can find a lock, you can tinker till the cows come home. And you will be mind-boggled by learning all the different possibilities and questions that you can ask and work with and interact with in the body and find ideas. Okay? So what are we looking for? A lock. And a lock gives us the doorway to new ideas. Make sense? All right. Is a patient testable? Well, once we have a lock, then we can determine if the door is working like it's supposed to. Is it going to do what we need it to do? So we have to find this idea, is the patient testable? It's not an arm wrestle, like we said. We're focusing on finding the lock. Certain provocations should be able to change normal function. So simply, what if we just push muscles together at the muscle spindle level and we turn a muscle off? They call that autogenic inhibition. We're just using simple neurology. We should be able to turn the delt off from a strong point and make it work. We should be able to get in certain body postures and see muscles turn on and off. Am I right? Because sometimes right here, if I'm standing like this, I have one muscle flying forward and one flying backwards, cross crawl pattern reflexes from our infancy and in our day-to-day activity, right? Something has to give. So some muscles are turning on, some muscles are turning off, and this is normal physiology. What if I walk like this? It's kind of weird looking, right? As opposed to, you're cruising down, got the strut, got the stroll, right? That's the game, is the nervous system doing what it's designed to do. Certain provocations, like a magnet. Sometimes a magnet can be a tool to put over the belly of a muscle and watch the muscle change. Notice I didn't say get stronger. Notice I didn't say get weaker. It just changes. And that's the body recognizing. For example, Dr. Chase brought some of his superpower magnets, and these will actually turn computers off, okay? 100 Gauss magnets. And the body knows that energy. These never have a bad day. They always put off the same type of energy, don't they? Because they're inert. Your body, though, is dynamic. Your body can sense change. If you haven't had enough water today, what's one of the symptoms you might get? Headache. Great call. Thirsty. Great. Obvious. How about another big one? Fatigue. Constipation. Right? So the magnet never has a bad day. So I could take this magnet and stick it up to certain muscles or certain reflexes on your body, and I could open up the channel, or I could block the channel, or I could short circuit the channel. But does that mean bad magnet? Or does that just mean magnet created a change that I wasn't expecting? I'm now curious. Well, this one kind of looks like a camera. Oh, it's really heavy. Click, click, got it. Click, click, got it. Did you do that on purpose?
I was just trying to break my jaw.
Yes, okay. The muscles do not change. They just indicate that neurological responses should happen in the presence of a new stimuli. And if you don't get the response that you're expecting, that could mean that there's a short circuit in the muscle. The short circuit in the communication from where you put the magnet, or where you tinker with a reflex, or the muscle that you're working on at the muscle spindle cell level that's translating up to the cerebellum, into the cortex, and then back down, and there's some glitch in the matrix. Our job is to what? Fix the glitch. Simple, easy, right? And it should be. I always say it's simple, but it's not easy. All right, so what we want to do is we want to find a lock. And I want you to remember, we're just looking at anterior delt, we're looking at lateral delt, we're looking at the rectus femoris. But before we workshop this, I just want to demonstrate it. Can I borrow you? You have the eye of the tiger, so that eager beaver ready to go. Okay, so we're going to just do a simple sitting, just like the picture demonstrated. I'm going to just move these completely out of our way. And so, two, I'm going to try to stay out of y'all's way, but I'm going to demonstrate real quick how I would normally do this. So number one, first and foremost, we want permission. We're going to be working with some different reflexes on your body, but first, before we do, I'm going to check some muscles, and I'm just going to see if they're working like God designed them to. Is that cool? Okay. Awesome. So I'm just getting permission. So we want permission because we want to be appropriate, and we want patients to know. So I've been teaching chiropractic students that come into my office all the time, and even if they're face down, I will touch, or I'll make note of where I am, so they always know where I'm at if they can't see me. Right? Why? It's nice. She's a lady. I'm a man. I'm in a treatment room. Oh, I don't need her to. And to this point, I haven't evaluated the historical potential trauma of stuff that she may have gone through when she was a kid. It's possible, guys. More than 75% of every person, maybe even higher, has been abused sexually in some capacity. And so we are giving you guys permission to dance with your patient. And so you have to do it, and do it with style, so that they know this is not just professional. This is top notch. This is different. This is somebody that I want to trust with my health, that I want my kids to be trusted with. with their health, that I want my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my pastor, my whoever. Make sense? So I'm going to just demonstrate real quick, because I'm going to turn my back to you, and I know that's kind of weird, but I'm going to just step in, and this is my approach. So look, I'm literally, in some capacity, depending on the situation, I'm even like straddling a leg, right? So she could easily, kick, so I want to be mindful of that. So I might even step off to the side, right? Because I don't know her yet. So, but what I like to do is I come in and I'm going to be looking at this lateral delt here, and she's very lean, so you can see that lateral delt. I'm going to step in, I'm going to stabilize the opposite shoulder. I'm going to make sure that this thing is parallel to the floor, and a couple things. I'm not going to lock. I'm not going to muscle test at the wrist bones or the hand bones or the finger bones. Okay? We're going to lock on her bracelet, if you will. So in this case, I actually might need her to take that bracelet off because I don't want it in our way. Because what if she's got a tenderness there, and you saw how she had some big old rocks on that bracelet? What if I actually push and it stimulates a tender spot, okay, that she already had, and now it's actually hurting because of the wrist issue, not because of the actual muscle test that I'm trying to lock out. Does that make sense? So for demonstration purposes, I am talented enough to test from here, but this is not how we test. This is me being afraid of my patient and not being willing to get in her orbit. Okay? She doesn't want that. I don't need to do that. She just wants to be fixed. Patients want to know a few things. Can you fix them? How long is it going to take? And how much does it cost? That's pretty much it. If you can help them at ease their mind on those things, you can get a lot done. So I step in, I get close to my patient, and I'm going to tell her, I'm going to push down so you can see her bones. I'm going to be proximal or inside of the bones, closest to the elbow. And so I'm going to be here, for those that can't see, in this area. So you could go here or you could go here, but in order to control myself, I try to use my the proximal side of my phalanges and my knuckles as my testing contact. But that point is going to be some of your finesse as you learn, right? The most important thing is that you just don't come outside these bones. You don't go outside the wrist, okay? Because it creates, when you change here, and if you push too hard here, it will change some of the cross-crawl pattern reflexes that we have built in, and she will naturally be weaker and you'll miss your mark, okay? So we're gonna step in, and I'm gonna stabilize her shoulder. I'm gonna come inside the wrist bones, and I'm gonna say, okay, I'm going to push down. You're just gonna match my pressure. This is not a strength contest. This is just a match pressure contest, see what we find, okay? So I'm just gonna see, push, 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 1, 2, 3, go. Perfect. So she did really good. So she's muscle tested before. So in a second, I'll do one more just for someone that has never had that, so we can see the difference in how it operates, right? So she already kind of has an idea what muscle testing should feel like. So she's very good demonstration tool at the moment, right? So I'm going to step back in, but let's say that she overpowers me. So go ahead and just overpower me. Okay. So you see her wiggling and jiggling, right? No, don't wrestle. It's natural because you're a competitor. I can tell. I like that. You had the eye of the tiger. I could see it. But what I want to do is I just want us to match each other's pressure. So I'm going to, in a sense, I'm just going to push like 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pound, 4 pounds of pressure, and then you just kind of know that I'm doing that, and then the way you know that I'm not trying to win. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Here we go. Perfect. Now, I'm just going to step to the other side too, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to slide our bracelets in a little bit. I'm not outside the bones, and I'm just going to see, match my pressure, perfect. Match my pressure, perfect. The other thing that I would also say is I'm not dancing like this, okay, where I'm way out here. You, as a clinician, will wear out over the course of a career, over the course of 15 patients, 25 patients in a day. We got to take care of our own bodies. So ergonomics matters. So I'm going to get up in close to her body, and I'm going to get in there close where we are literally one. We're a team right now. Because remember, it's her and I versus the thing. We're looking for her issues, her glitches, her challenges. and we fix what we find. Okay, so first and foremost, we come in, and we're going to go here, and we're going to push, match my pressure, go here, match my pressure. I'm going to bring it around. I step to the side, slide in again, match my pressure. See, I'm tucked in tight, right? I'm with her. Step in. And I'm not driving, I'm just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in my mind's eye. In my mind, I am going 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pound, 4 pound, 5 pound, 6 pound, 7 pound, 8 pound, 9 pound, 10 pounds of pressure. It's not even 10 pounds. But in my mind, I'm just counting to 10, increasing the pressure. Got it. Like it. Got it. Like it. Okay, so lay on your back, face up.
Head here or head here?
This way, and feet that way, body in the middle. Okay, so this one, again, forgive my backside, but here we go. So again, just for demonstration for y'all to see what I'm looking for, I want the muscle to be straight, straight knee, straight leg, and I want the leg, the foot, toes pointing straight up, okay? So again, this is a long muscle, so it's very easy, push up, that I could overpower that very easily. We're not here to do that. We're looking for to evaluate the body and see where the body's breaking down and seeing what we can do to fix it. So we come in here, again, we're gonna make that knee nice and straight. We're gonna come down. In this case, she gave me a really good reference point with her boot, and I'm gonna be just on the inside of the ankle, and I'm gonna stabilize opposite ASIS. So we're gonna come here, I'm gonna stabilize down, I'm stepping up over her, and I'm match my pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just in my mind's eye calculating my pressure so that I can get an idea, does that muscle seem strong and mighty? Does it do what I want it to do in being able to handle my pressure point add? So keep this here, push up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Perfecto, I like it. So far so good, right? So this is my rectus femoris test. There's one other one. I don't know if we want to teach that one, so we won't do that one yet. That's going to be level 2. Chase and I are working on 2, 3, 4th class up. So we're already ahead and wanting to evolve this. We just want for some of the newer folks to give you these 2 concepts. Okay, so if you would, go ahead and stand up and face here. Great round of applause. Thank you for your services and hospitality.
Demonstrate autogenic inhibition so we can see if the
Oh, yes. Yep, I was just going to get one more non-muscle test, but come on up. We'll do that. So go ahead, let's sit first. So what we want to do, and this is how you assess whether or not the muscle is healthy, okay? So we know we got 4 strong muscles. So when were you adjusted last, just for
I
fun?
need an adjustment. It's been months.
Oh, well, that's impressive, actually. That's impressive. So do you have any body pain?
No, I mean a little bit of soreness from snowboarding, but
Sweet.
yeah.
So she must have been out of Texas. So here we go. So we're going to come in. We're going to step in. We're going to make sure we strong. So we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So we want to see everything work. Now, she's a little high. I don't know if y'all caught that. So you don't want to be testing here. You don't necessarily want to be testing here. You want to be parallel. And I could do it here, or I could do it here. Okay, so it's just whatever's most comfortable. And the reality is it isn't what's most comfortable. It's what muscle do you have access to? Because people will come in with all kinds of challenges, and you won't be able to use certain muscles based on their workout today, their history, whatever. Broken arm, yeah, sorry, Chapa. So you come here. Now, for demonstration, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the belly of the muscle. We're going to pinch the fibers together in the belly, okay? So I'm going to push them together, and we're going to inhibit the muscle and see if we get a response. And in this case, it's very weak. There was no even an opportunity for me to count, all right? Let's just see. So it's still there. So we're going to see how long does it take. So I should have timed it. So it's about, I don't know, like it was just at 17, now it's at 11. Right? So within about 8 to 10 seconds, the muscle reset and recalibrated and said, oh, I should probably stay strong just in case somebody wants to inflict some sort of, stressor on me, right? So we could do the same thing. We do have some magnets available, and we will play with them. We're going to take the north side of the magnet. It has an N on it for north. and we're going to put it over a different muscle, belly, and it should. Yeah, you can already feel it. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So she's very energetic. So I compliment that in patients. If you have somebody that you test and you obviously see a shift in how their body responds to the presence of a magnet, the magnet in and of itself isn't bad. Remember, it's just putting off energy as it does. That's just what it's going to do every time. Remember, like physical science class, the ion filings, right? And I have a tool whenever on the break, when we come back, I'll show you. This thing puts off about 2 feet worth of energy. It's fascinating. So this is a really cool tool. So the same thing, so go ahead and lay your head that way. We'll get your brain away from it. So we're going to come here, push up, step in a little closer, push up. And then, so she's very electrical. We like that. There's nothing wrong with that. And that gives her, and she'll be a fun one for anybody that's new to tinker with, because you'll feel it. And I'll be honest with you, when I was new into practice, I had this lady sit up for me. It's all right. Every time, she was in her 60s at the time. Yeah, maybe late 50s at the time. When I would test, I'd be here nice and strong. Now, she doesn't like that magnet at all. But here's what's interesting. When I would find a reflex that would go wrong, it would literally like, go ahead and just let it go flaccid. I mean, it would just like, it would drop, and it was annoying to me. I'm like, she's full of crap. I'm sorry. I just, I was a little, I'm an honest guy. I sleep really good at night. And to me, I'm like, what the heck? That's just bizarre to me. Like, how could somebody be so electrical? Some people can feel power line issues. Some people are sensitive to cell phones. Some people got to turn their internet off at home because they're so sensitive to the Wi-Fi. Do you understand? Everybody's got their thing. So she's a fun one to test. Okay, so let's try another one. Thank you very much. So again, all we're going to do is we're going to pinch the muscle bellies together to see if a strong muscle, in this case, is going to turn off. Okay, because neurologically, that's what it ought to do. Then you get your north side of your magnet, put it over the belly of the muscle, it should turn off. And if it does, then you have a functional, testable connection between the nervous system, the body, and you, the clinician that's testing them for clarity. Does that make sense? So somebody that hasn't ever been muscle tested. Oh, that's even better. It's new to muscle testing in practice. Come on up. Oh, yeah. What's your name?
Jenny.
Hi, Jenny. Have a seat right here. So we're going to first start with the delt test. Remember, we're going to do the lateral and anterior delt. So this time we will pinch the anterior delt and see what kind of shift that we get. But first, we just want to see, can we even get we're feeling, we're learning to dance with this new partner. Okay? Because we all want that as a muscle tester, like a testee. That's easy, it's clear. When she's strong, she's strong. When she's weak, she's weak. Her body's going to be very clear on the message that it gives. And that's fun. You will get those. Then you'll get the one that's exaggerating, that's frustrating. We'll see what Miss Jenny brings. Oh, she already knows. So let me ask you a question, just for grins. That way we can see patient interaction. Why do you think you're sensitive?
I'm very sensitive to my phone.
So you can, does it
Hurts.
Okay, so
Can't have it on.
can't have it on her. So that's interesting. Do you find, are you one of those people that, like, when you start playing with electronics, you short circuit the electronics? Have y'all met those people? That's a real thing. There's a reason for that. Go ahead. Yes?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Or I haven't noticed.
Okay. So here we go. So keep this here. Again, flat arm, right? Not here, not here. And we're going to step in to our dance partner. We're going to touch her opposite shoulder. And then we're going to slide in on the proximal bones. You can see her wrist nicely. We're going to be just inside. I'm going to push down. You're going to push up. Just match my pressure, okay? It's not a muscle strength competition, but we're going to just see what kind of finesse you've got. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, go. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I like to do 3 tests before I feel like I got what I want. Why? Because I don't want to catch her off guard. This may be her first time. She may be having a rough day. She's got to settle in. She's got to appreciate. What if my watch is a bother to her? In the clear, I have no stimuli up against her body at all. Yes, it could be me, but it could be her. So right now I'm assuming it's her because, you know, I'm the doctor, right? Just kidding. But here we are, push up. And there's a, for me, when we get to 6, here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even lower than that, every time we do it, so when you test her left anterior delt, she's weak in the clear. So she's a fun one to feel, a weak in the clear muscle with no change. Now, what if we could use this as a quick demonstration? I'm going to, instead of pushing the fibers together and turning it off, I'm going to pull the fibers apart and stimulate them and see if they get excited and want to play. Does that sound like a good idea? Because we're investigating, right? That's the whole point of muscle testing. So we're going to come in here, and I'm just going to pull them apart, keep this here, and push up. That's a pretty cool experience. So would that be a functionally intact neurological muscle? It did what I expected neurology says it could do. It was weak to start. We stimulate the fibers by pulling them apart, and whoop, it turns on. Right on? Now, does that mean it's fixed? No. It's going to be just like that weak one. What was your name again? Maria. On Maria, where 8 to 15, 20 seconds is probably going to shut back off. But it is possible that all that muscle needed was to be turned on and woke up. It is possible. And that's cool. That simply, and I figured out over time, that's how Evan did it. He'd be on a football field. He's dealing with highly electrical $1,000,000 assets called football players. Right? And he could stimulate them with a laser, with an arthrostim gun, with muscle spindle cell activation, Golgi tendon work, and he could get shifts and changes astronomically quick, and he looked like a magician. So we step back into our sister, and we see what do we got, and push up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, well, I broke her for y'all, but fixed her. So that actually turned on. So she's a good patient to give us a simple fix. And the reality is, guys, is you have no idea what we might have just spared her from. She could reach in the back of a car from the passenger seat and tweak her shoulder this afternoon, but because we accidentally fixed what we found, now she's more stable, and when she reaches back there to grab this nice vanilla bean possible shake to pull to the front seat, she doesn't tweak the shoulder. You understand? You never know what you're correcting when you're correcting. That's wellness. You know, if I had 2 of her, and one of her I let her smoke, drink, and party all night, and one I made her eat clean and do the gallbladder flushes and all the good vitamins, when she's 50, 60, 70, what does she look like in your mind's eye neurologically? What does she look like physically? What does she look like biochemically? You know, the one that's been drinking, smoking, partying all night, not getting good sleep is probably going to speak through a hoarse rashness, and then the other one's going to be more radiant, right? So let's see. We're going to step in. I'm going to slide into the wrist again. We're not going to go high. We're not going to go low. And match my pressure. Ready? So I'm not going to be chicken winged myself. I'm going to bring my elbow in. Push, push, push. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this girl's got some weaknesses. When's the last time you were adjusted?
Last week.
Okay, so it's time. She may be ready. Or maybe there's something else that's causing her, like Mr. Bill, to have some inflammation that's not allowing this muscle to hold regularly. Okay? So it's okay. We've got another muscle. So we're going to step in. We're going to be here. I'm going to step across, push up. I'm not going to chicken wing out. I'm going to come in, and I'm just going to match. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the more you test this right shoulder, I won't fix this one. I'll let somebody else fix it. This one seems like every time we do it repetitively, it gets irritated. Okay? So go ahead, lay flat on your back, head that way, feet this way, body in the middle. Okay, so here knee straight. Here's the tongue of her shoe. I'm going to go up just a little bit. I don't want to be on the tarsal bones, okay? I want to be just proximal where the tibia comes down, and I want the bottom of my hand, if you will, on the tibia, right at before it goes into the horseshoe mortise joint, okay? So I want to be on this side, and I want to make sure this knee's straight, and I want to be able to stabilize her opposite ASIS. So go ahead, match my pressure. I'm going to push down. You're going to push up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, her whole right side is, I'm not excited about testing her right side because I like starting from a place of integrity. I want a strong muscle. Not that I'm always looking for a strong muscle, but that's what I've grown accustomed to. It's like Dr. Hayden wanting to work from the right side of the table. One of the things I did about 2 years ago is I started forcing myself to do some back work from both sides of the table. You know what I discovered? It's a whole new world. I'm fixing other rib heads because of my angulation change. I had to get outside of my comfort zone and do something a little different and allow my body to evolve. And then in my evolving, I discovered her body will respond differently from the right side and the left side of the table because of just mere mechanics, right? But this gal's right side is off. Now, guys, I don't know why yet. I don't know if it's her lymphatics. I don't know if it's the parasites. I don't know if it's stressors. I don't know if it's nutrition. I don't know if it's emotions. I don't know anything. All I know is what? Right side's just not where I want it. And it wasn't blatantly weak, flaccid, right? It was just, I'm the doc. I'm driving this train. I got to make sure that I'm comfortable moving her from point A to point B. Make sense? So let's look at the left side. Keep this here. Same thing. Tongue of the shoe is my indicator. I don't have the high boot like I had on Miss Maria, but in this case, I know about where I want to be. I want the hypothenar to be right at the base of that mortise joint, knees straight, stabilize the opposite ASIS, and I'm going to push down. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Push, push, push. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A little better. And then here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So she starts to buckle in the 7, 8, 9, 10 range. And that should tell us stuff, right? So that's where you will go in. I'm not going to do it on her because I want y'all to fix her, and I want you to do autogenic facilitation. And so what you're going to go into is you're going to go into the belly of the muscle on her. If you're trying to turn a muscle on, this might not be in your notes. If you want to turn it on, you want to pull the belly. You put your fingers in the middle of the muscle, and you want to pull out towards the origin insertion of that muscle. Okay? If you're trying to take a strong indicator muscle, weak, you're going to maybe, an inch or so, or in the delts, it's not quite an inch, maybe, and you're going to push the belly of those muscle spindle cells together, and then you're going to retest. But no, there's going to be about an 8 to 10 second, some people longer, response time in that muscle resetting. So you should play with that. See how long. That actually tells you things. And as you do muscle testing more frequently, more often, you'll discover that more than likely, the fact that she's getting weak, her calcium magnesium's low. Her minerals are low. So she can't handle ongoing stimuli. She's fatiguing. Not a bad thing. And I'm completely guessing, right? Why? But the reason I'm guessing is because I've seen it 1,500 times, right? But I never want to go in with my mojo saying, I know. I want to go in curious. I want to go into the game as a good dance partner and expect her to what? Teach me, inspire me, intrigue me, right? That's what makes practice fun. That's what makes muscle testing so fun. Okay? So, you're going to be healed, just not by me. All right, so I believe we are at a good spot to do our workshop. So, what we're looking for is a lock. And then we want to play with the north side of the magnet to turn a muscle off, south side to turn it on, or muscle spindle cell inhibition, pushing the spindle cells together. We will help walk around, make sure y'all are clear. Because again, we got to know which way the bubbles are going, otherwise we'll get lost and suffocate. We don't want that. Or turn them, or excite the tissues and activate those tissues that are weak. Does that sound like a plan? Y'all excited? All right. Make sure in this particular workshop, it's always fun to hover and watch, but again, dancing means playing. You got to do the work. So get your hands on as many people and just test these 4 areas. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 muscles, and feel as many different muscles as possible. So even with her body, Jenny's body, even though somebody might fix it, and if it does correct, understand that you still want to test her, because we don't know if it'll correct it. But y'all will figure that out soon enough. Sound like a plan? All right. And that's the calibration, if you will, terminology that we want to use with that potential dance partner, right? Is in that case, ratchety weak could be that's what weakness looks like for that patient. But one of the things that we do observe, the more clean we get the patient, the stronger we get their vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, the more we eliminate burdens off their tissues, the next time they come in to see you, they will test differently and oftentimes clearer, because their nervous system is cleaned up and it's had 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 week to process the neurological shifts and change that you just implemented on the body, either through laser therapy, foot bath therapy, whether through massage, adjusting, or nutrition of some sort, right? So I wanted to show, there's so many cool things, but Chase and I just wanted to answer some questions real quick, but I just wanted to show y'all this magnet kind of game. Chase, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So this device can help read electromagnetic fields. Okay?
So just to give you an idea, so like if you get close enough to it, it'll light up. Y'all see that? So the farther I get away from it, it's not putting off a ton of field. But if I start waving it at it, I'm waving the electromagnetics at it, right? And so the cool thing about energy is what? Just because you can't see it don't mean it don't exist, right? And that's the whole message, is appreciating that for which we cannot see. And understanding that even though you might not understand exactly how energy is moving, every one of you have been burned by the sun. But did y'all see the rays burning you? No. But you definitely woke up or saw that night burn, right? And so that is the power of thermal energy. This is magnetic energy. We are dealing with biochemical energy, neurological energy. And so there's so many different words, but energy is in the crux of it, and sometimes it gets put off as a bad, weird vibe. One thing that I was talking to my group back here with is when you're muscle testing, I can, and Chase can walk around and we can tell who's been muscle tested often or a lot, or is muscle testing themselves often and a lot. Why? Because it's apparent. They have a finesse about them and a confidence in their muscle test. And so I would say, and this should not discourage any one of us, you can get good at muscle testing in a week, but it really takes, I always like to say in clinical practice, 3 years to be good, 5 to be great. Now, thankfully, when you're surrounded by great teachers and mentors and coaches, and you are willing to submit to coaching and teaching and guidance, one of the things that you will observe is that your approach is faster. You can get from point A to point B faster. And so just wanted to throw that out there as you're going down this road and you find yourself sometimes discouraged because maybe you're not sure what you just found and you don't know what to do, that's going to happen. Because what did we say early on? You should be shocked. You should be curious. You should be wowed by your muscle testing findings. Because we're not coming in with an attitude of, I know everything, right? Unless you're Patrick. Just kidding, buddy. All right, Chase, come on up, bud. All right, so did you guys have any questions about what y'all discovered in your muscle testing workshop?
So there were a couple of people that asked me one thing that I just want to reiterate, and that was, why are we doing the muscle testing part? And it's because we're building on a process, right? So we started at the beginning of saying if we're doing patient histories and we're doing clinical reference or symptom surveys, and now we've done palpatory findings, why do I even need to go see what a muscle does before actually doing something clinically with the person? And this is another tool or avenue of looking at them. So prior to poking around with the muscle and then saying, based off of the muscle strength change, for whatever reason, I'm going to give you these things to help you put your own weight. We just want to do that first part to be able to make sure we're using good data from the start. Right? We're going to think of a reflex in neurology. You sit down, someone hits your knee, and you kick. We would all propose that's a normal neurologic response, right? We might call that hypotonic. I'm sorry, if it doesn't work, hypertonic if it does it too much, and normotonic if it goes regular. Does that make sense? Normotonic is regular, hypo doesn't work, hyper too much. A muscle test can be graded similarly. Normotonic muscle is a muscle that's strong and then goes weak when we ask it to. If I'm using a hypertonic muscle and trying to get data from it, I'm probably missing the boat or going to be really shocked with what I'm getting told from the body. The purpose of autogenic inhibition or using a magnet or something is to make sure that whatever you're using on the patient to get data from is giving you good clinical information. If I grab someone's arm in clinical practice and it's weak to begin with, I want to know why. I might do something like separate their spindle cells to get that muscle to temporarily turn strong. I might put something on their tongue like we did with palpation to see if it makes their muscle work better. I might crack their neck because that nerve that goes and tells that what to do is what I needed to stimulate. I might do all kinds of things. It's just a data point. If I come in and someone sits down and I test their muscle and it's strong, and then I say, is this a normally functioning muscle? Do you go weak when I ask you to? And it does, then I just know that's a good data point. Let's see what else we got to find out. If I pinch the muscle and it doesn't go weak, and I say, that's weird. Why are you hypertonic in that process? I have data to go on. Now, I might, in that moment, experiment and say, what happens if I adjust you? Do you now go normotonic? If I put something in your mouth, do you go normotonic? If I have you whistle Dixie, do you go normotonic? You know, whatever I need to do, I'm just seeing, do I get good data? So the magnet and the spindles are tools to try and help you know, are you getting good data when you start asking questions? Okay? It's not something we necessarily need to harp on a ton in this level, other than, can I get a normotonic muscle? Does it go weak when I want? Now I can move on to the fancy stuff that Aaron's going to teach us. Does that kind of make sense? Mm-hmm. Any questions about that concept so far? Because I don't want us to lose sleep tonight and go home and say, like, what do I do if it's muscle approximation, muscle separation, and right? So on our slides in your notes, it should have 2 ways to figure out if a normally strong muscle is working like it should. If I pinch it, does it go weak? If I put the north end of a ginormous magnet on it, does it cause weakness? If both of those or one of those work, then you're probably safe to continue going forward with our muscle testing arm as the right test. But what if we had someone earlier, they were weak here, they were weak here, they were weak here, they were weak here, and their legs worked. I might say, you know what, for today's purposes, I'm only going to use your leg, because that's what I can start with. Mm-hmm. Or I might say, why are you globally hypotonic in your upper extremities? Maybe I should figure that out. And I might just start there that day. And I might do whatever I do because you're brilliant people. You will do the best clinical thing you know how in the knowledge of wisdom you own to try and help somebody. But we got to find the question. We got to find out what's going on first. So if they're hypotonic everywhere, we saw with someone, and when I put cataplex B core in their mouth, their muscles came back to being strong again. And they said, that's weird. What would you do next? I said, I'd do the rest of my exam with you sucking on cataplex B core because I want data today. And in my program, when I give you the program, I'm probably going to include cataplex B core. Because we now know that's neurologically facilitating to your body. Now, why did I go there? I went there for a variety of reasons. That's irrelevant, technically. But I found something that wasn't working. I used a neurologic-based challenge like taste to see if it created a change, which it did. And then I can go on with the rest of what I want to do by playing doctor that day. Does that kind of make sense?
I would say, on that note, to his point, why did he use cataplex B core? It's irrelevant, and
Not quite irrelevant.
well, for the sake of it's actually brilliant. Yeah, that's right. But what he was trying to, I think, say is that there's so many reasons Cat B core could be used as an initial oral challenge because it has so many different physiological functions in the body. So as you're studying with Christy or Phil to learn about the product line, you will find there's a lot of overlay in a lot of the supplements. Catalin could have potentially done it. Cataplex B gluten-free could have done it. Cataplex B core could have done it. It could have been the Oprima. It could have been a numerous opportunities to, but that's what his intuition led him to. He tested his idea, for an idea has come. Oh, someone's excited back there. And all of a sudden, muscles turn back on. And yes, you're going to go, you ought to want to go home, whoever that was, with Cataplex B core in your database today. Now, the thing though is when we're in a seminar setting, we're teaching, we operate different in practice. And so one of the things that Chase has always been great at is, because I was well, but I want to do what's right. And he would say,
Do what's wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't say that.
he said, find a weakness, change it, and observe the experience. That's what they teach us in the program. There is no right next step. It's the right next step if that's where you're being led to go, Cataplex B core in this case, or to shine a laser on there in this case, or to detox them in a particular instance, or start with just basic nutrition or palpation and find a solution. And so what he's also saying is we're building the idea that muscle testing is cool and not weird. Because too many people who don't understand it can't explain it, and then if you can't explain what you're doing, you've got to figure out a way to learn to translate the message. Otherwise, it's odd and off to a patient. We don't want wizardry. It's fun to see parlor tricks, but we're not magicians. We're functional docs that are observing clinical change. And your laboratory is your treatment room. And your, lack of a better word, guinea pig is the patient in front of you. And you are running experiments, downloading software into their body and observing the changes. That's the power of the nervous system. I had a great doc once say, point the nervous system home and it'll find a way to balance it out and come to homeostasis on its own. It's powerful. So all we have to do is simply sometimes nudge it. Like with Jenny, I believe, when we just turn on that muscle, it stayed on. Now, I'm not sure if it stayed on for the whole, workshop. That'd be interesting. Did it? Did anybody comment on your shoulder that turned back on, that left side?
I think it was a little long.
So